started on time because looks good. Check one thing. Let me check something. Default microphone on. I'm going to switch it to where it should be. I think it should crash anything.
Yeah.
Guess we'll find out.
There you go. Yep, it worked.
Hey, Doc, thanks. Hey, Von Loku. Sure. Can you guys hear me?
Hello. I hope they can.
Awesome.
Okay. Good.
Always a good thing.
Yep.
It's always the number one issue.
Yep. It's a good start.
Always the sound. Hey, Mystical.
Hello.
Is doing well tonight.
Hello.
Yo.
Hello.
How's everybody doing?
Good.
Okay. Yeah. And you?
I can't complain. Well, I got to put a nifty.
I'm just going to say you look modern, and I'm look the usual crappy.
I look
background.
I look like I'm in prison, is what I look like.
Well, you could be. It's like those Datelines. They're interviewing the guy the whole time. Is he in jail or not? Find out at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. Could be something like that.
I hope not.
Nah, I'm just kidding.
Who's that guy who busts all the pedophiles?
Oh, yeah. He's on
Hanson.
Yeah.
Or it could be, what's the one where the guy comes in and it's like, what would you do?
Right, isn't it the same guy? That's 2020. That's the guy.
Yeah.
2020.
One's I thought was an Asian or a Latino. I could be wrong. I haven't. Let's be honest. I haven't seen those.
You're not a very big on that stuff, right?
No.
Yeah.
I'm not big on TV.
I'm
barely
exactly.
watch TV. I hardly ever watch TV, but only when Mike and me sit and have dinner. That's the only time. If he's not here, I would never turn on the TV.
I don't really.
Yeah.
There's a couple of shows, and those have gotten
I
very.
have enough, but all the stuff on YouTube and on my computer, so to speak, that I watch while I'm mapping and stuff. So that's it.
I watch
Yeah.
YouTube almost exclusively.
Yeah, and Netflix and some other downloaded like on various European public broadcasting sites and stuff. They have like PBS equivalent from Sweden, Norway, and stuff
Right.
that I watch in Germany and Britain, BBC and stuff. So they have, when you have VPN, you can watch them like you're native, and that is great TV. So I watch that while I'm working, so to speak. But when I'm away from the computer, if I sit down somewhere, I read. I usually do that an hour or two per day that I get away from the computer just to catch up on my reading. Yeah.
I have to. I've been telling myself I have to I got to schedule some time.
Yeah, I'm starting to do that.
I have to, because if I don't, basically, I'm writing or drawing, and
I can sit here all damn day. So what I do, now in the summer, I get up in the morning, I do my hiking 5 miles in the morning, and then I have breakfast and stuff, and then I start working. Now in the afternoon, I schedule a nap and I schedule reading time.
That sounds so nice.
Yeah, I have to. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it. I was thinking installing one of these things that physically turn off the power to my computers at those times. So I need to work and get it done.
Right?
Yeah. And now I had to reinstall things and stuff. So I've been installed a couple of days here because I changed the graphics card and some other stuff in my computer, and I needed to reinstall and stuff. So that's taken a couple of days off, and there were some other life emergencies that happened. So like real life, so it kept me away from things. But now I'm up and running again today, so it's good. Yeah. I saw Oppenheimer yesterday too.
And is it the hype?
That was a damn good movie.
It was?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes. It was a really, really good movie. And the interesting bit was not the nuclear weapons. That was not the interesting bit of that movie.
Yeah.
There was if I had lived here for over 10 years, I wouldn't understand half of it. Now I'm starting to get what the movie was about, I think. Or at least what I think was the interesting bit. It was a really, really deep, sharp analysis of the U.S. society, so to speak, and culture. And that was really, really interesting.
Okay, now I'm interested in seeing it.
Yep. That was, to me, that was the interesting bit.
Not the hardcore sex scenes.
Oh, there's got that in there?
I'm Scandinavian. Come on, we have that in every show. So
right?
Don't worry about it. That's...
No, boy, we're just starting.
I saw that from 15 years onwards, so that's no biggie. And that's more fun doing than watching.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. So I don't know. I it'll go into an extremely long queue of things that I could possibly see and watch.
Oh yeah.
But, yeah. I mean. It's when anything that's a history-based movie, I have a real hard time with it because a lot of the subjects I know so much about.
Oh yeah, but this one is not.
This
is not. Yeah, the good thing with Oppenheimer is not for the history geeks, I think. There is plenty. I didn't see it as a history geek movie, and I'm interested in nukes and weaponry and stuff like that. But that was just the flavor of the movie. The core movie was something completely different. That I was even more interested in the nuclear weapons. So I was pleasantly surprised. It was much sharper, more interesting than I thought it would be. Halfway into the movie, was like, this is great. This is fantastic movie. It's awesome. So, but the actual nuclear explosion, and this is not a spoiler per se, that was the only thing I didn't like much, because I can see, I've seen enough shit being blown up in my life. I can tell that's not a nuclear explosion. That's some pyrotechnical shit. But the interesting thing is, in the beginning of the movie, they had some awesome footage of a real nuclear explosion. That looked fabulous. Nice. That looked awesome in the intro. If they run that during the nuclear explosion, it would have been way better effect. But apparently from some interview I heard with Christopher Nolan, he didn't want to use CG, he wanted to use real pyrotechnics. And that kind of showed it. It was not it was not a big bang. It was not fast or anything, so to speak. It was so that was disappointing. But it didn't matter, because that was flavor. That was not the core part of the movie, was not the explosion per se. So it was okay. And
so what has got me just shaking my head and just the older I get, the more I shake my head at myself, because I get surprised by things, and I'm like, why am I surprised by that? Yeah. So the big deal was double featuring this with Barbie. People were going to watch Barbie, and then after Barbie, going to watch Oppenheimer.
But I haven't seen Barbie, but I can just imagine from seeing the trailer and a few clips and understanding that the movies are completely opposite. But I think both really interesting, as I think on a deeper level, I think both Barbie and Oppenheimer are really interesting for very different reasons. But I think they are really interesting, both of them. I want to see Barbie, but I'm going to wait and watch it on online somewhere, because I don't think it deserves IMAX or something really
Right.
huge, so to speak. But Oppenheimer is worth it. And what struck me for the production values, it was everything seemed to be spot on almost, except something that was pointed out on Facebook. The flags that were waving had 50 stars, but they were only supposed to have like 48 stars or
yeah.
49 or whatever it was before. So sorry.
Ladies and gentlemen, Cisco number 2.
Yep.
Let's
But
go.
you have stuff like that all the time.
Yeah, but the
It's
audio,
awesome.
well, I saw it in IMAX. The audio was breathtaking. Cool.
Mm.
Yeah.
So
That
how's
was
everyone
awesome.
tonight?
I'm good. How are
Good.
you?
I'm
Yeah.
good. I'm
hanging
joyous.
in there. I'm hanging in
I'm
there.
absolutely
Yep.
joyous tonight.
You're joyous.
Well,
Why? What
Oh,
happened?
that's
It's
good.
Sunday.
That's-
It's a long work
that's-
week coming up, so I guess I should be
Uh-oh.
happy now. So, everyone, I'm J.K. Logazama. Tonight we have Anna Meyer and William Henry Dvorak
Hello.
with the ever mysterious Tim coming in around 8, and that's according to a recent text. So at least he will be on at some point, and we have a fun discussion. Oh, Troy, thanks, man. Wow, Troy, thank you very
Hello,
much.
Troy.
Keep that going. So we
Hi,
got a giveaway going right now as we speak. For at least one of these classic D&D reprints. I barely can fit these under my desk because I've been overwhelmed with goodness from Patrick. But I mean, this is like 1/10
So
of the pile.
I should enter.
Yeah, you should.
I've never entered before.
Here's some obscure ones, like one of my favorites, Return to Durham for the reprint even sent me. So some good stuff here. 3 Treasures of Greyhawk. All this. Look at this. And then
Wow.
yeah, and look at a B1 through 9 in Search of Adventure. We can do that one too. So we got some good stuff tonight. So exclamation point drawing for that. And good to see you all. We'll have a fun one this evening.
I mean, you get you've got way too much to give away. Don't worry about giving my stuff away now. I was gonna offer, but no, that's good shit. There.
I do have one of your books still.
Save it for some other time.
You sure? Okay.
It's up to you, man. It doesn't really matter.
All right, no problem. So hope everyone's doing well. We'll see you all. Tonight we're going to talk the fighter class and combat. And the funny thing is like Anna's like, I don't have classes anymore.
Exactly. I'm disqualified per default on this discussion, so I can't say.
I don't know. I think you bring a completely different perspective.
Yes, that's what I
So
said.
true.
Yeah, because they're still fighting and they're still warriors and stuff in my campaigns, definitely. So yeah.
Yeah, because even if you were running a classless system and you would have just about everybody, when you make a character, you do what? You come up with a prototype or something.
Oh yeah, and most characters, all characters can fight
you,
to
Troy. That
at
was
least
really
some
kind of you.
degree. So yeah.
Yeah. So what you can get into all. I mean, that's the whole. I mean, if talking about the 5e, the 5e. Listen to me. The 1e fighter kits that I'm making. Those are pretty much predominantly that's flavor. There's very little actual game mechanics that it's in it. So, and I think that has a lot to do with character creation and how you make your characters more so than other stuff.
Derek just mentioned something too. He's like, "Hey, I got Jordan Holes." I'm like, "Good. Well, I have it up. I'm going to KC the hell out of it tonight because it's got a lot of fighter stuff in it. It's got a lot of my custom rules in there. Oh, we got a hype train going. So thank you. But first, I know we got almost 50 people on. Let's talk about this real quick. We have more and more coming in. All but 2 of the streamers are in, and should I call them out or should I just not?
Totally.
Well,
come on.
Call them out.
You can guess one. I forgot about Anna. You can guess another one.
Damn, I shouldn't have said anything.
Right, come on. Yeah,
I
Chuck is one. Yeah, Troller Games has got some stuff in.
Chuck kind of gets a little bit of a pass, even though it's part of the norm.
Yeah, let me just make sure. And John at Blue Box hasn't gotten his in yet, so I keep on harassing him. What's up, Curtis?
Hello, Curtis.
Yeah, so but look, we got a lot of great events in there, and I think we're a little behind on registrations as opposed to last year. Now I know the wonderment of virtual is going away as people post-COVID are getting out there, but this is the quality of the events this year are way better, I think, than the previous years so far. I think there's some really top-notch stuff. So real quick, let me just go here. I think I can go to I can go to events. I don't know if I can go to events yet. Let me take a look.
I haven't looked to see if anybody signed up for mine yet or not.
No, there's no signups yet. There's no
Oh,
signups for
well,
3 weeks.
so no, they haven't.
Yeah, there's no signups yet. So, but thank you for that awesome hype train. So, I mean, look, the DMs we have are a lot of great community people, that are just some really fantastic stuff. We got a whole bunch of Greyhawk Reborns in now, 14 of them, and stuff from a lot of individuals out there. Like I could go Curtis, Les, Amy, Will, Chantel, Lee, Tim. If I miss you, I apologize. Lando, there's a whole. If I miss you, I apologize. But because it doesn't have everyone's names on this one here, but it's getting there. We got a lot of really good things. Alan Growley hasn't gotten his in yet either. And I know Alan's going to put stuff in, so we should be really good on some really nice events. And there's a ton of sign-up opportunities here. Anna hasn't gotten hers in yet either. There you go. I call that out. So, yeah, Valmoku, you got one, Mike. Yeah, you just put yours in. Absolutely. And I just approved it. Yep. Armin from New Zealand's got his in. His is at 1 o'clock in the morning, Eastern time, Saturday morning, Friday night. So right after the day one. So if you want to play a late night game, you got it. I think Valmoku's is a late night game too. Yep. I got games in too. Yeah. So we got a lot of stuff. So thanks, Patrick. Just sign up, get ready. 3 weeks from yesterday is the start at noon Eastern for get events for Welly Hobbit, Guild Superior. There we go. Keep on rolling with. There's a ton of stuff, and more will be coming in too. All right. Just to note that. All right, that's my soapbox for today. Oh, I went right to that. Okay, so fighters, the base of the game from day one, right? Combat. Person-to-person combat, the base from the game. Oh, there we go. Well, Wayne just hit us over level 3. 2 giveaways. Thanks. All right, damn, we're to Wayne. So that's the kicker, passing level 3 hype. We got 2 giveaways tonight. All right, 2 of them. The fighter combat was it. It was a war game. Let's get commanders, and have them, let's role play them, and that's how D&D started, right? So the fighter's been one of the base classes from day one. Probably the fighter, what was it? Fighter, Clerk, and Mage. That was it, right? There was no thieves to start. It was those 3.
Actually, at the very beginning, it was just wizards.
Just wizards, not fighters. Wizards and fighters.
And then came Cleric. Yeah. And then I think the thief was the next one. Pretty sure it was. Yeah.
I think Daryl Wagner created the thief, if I recall correctly. Yeah.
It's some California
Fighting
hobby
Man.
shop.
Yeah.
Fighting Man, that's it.
Yep.
Fighting
that
Man.
was what it was called. Yep.
Because elves were elves, dwarves were dwarves, halflings were fighters too, but they were
Fighting Man, wizard, and
basic.
what was
I'm out
the
of coffee. Oh, damn. All right, so but everyone goes in old school, and I probably rehashed this before. First edition fighters are boring. Nah. They may have been when they started, but some of us have spent a couple decades, or as in Will's case, a couple weeks, souping them up, which is awesome.
I was about to say, a couple decades, you're kind of underselling yourself, Terry.
All right. And then let's talk about combat too. Not more of the physical combat, melee and all that stuff over spells tonight. Just to talk about maybe what we see, what we can tweak in. I'll say this though, I have incorporated one of Anna's special deals into my game that everyone loves or hates, the swarm attack. Which,
and I've tweaked it even more. I'm going to talk about how I will upgrade it. I tweaked it even more now to work with 5e. Yep.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yep.
That's
so
really
that will
cool.
be part of it's my flanking 2.0, so to speak. So
nice.
House rule. Yep.
The flanking 2.0. All right, that's cool. That's almost sounds like a move, a chess move.
It's kind of it's a way of tweaking the battles to get them where I want them to be thematically. Meaning, figure out what you want your battles to look like, and then tweak the rules so they become that way, so to speak.
Yeah, and that's a good thing too. So I'll have to
Yeah.
listen to your have to listen to your changes and see. For all you
Yeah.
5 years out there, everyone should see if that makes sense for you, because it made total sense for me in my game. Because there
Yeah.
was
And
always
So I would say it depends on what style of game you want to have.
Right.
Meaning the style of game you want to have, you should have the rules that support that type of game that you and your players want to have. That's the key bit, so to speak.
We always had in our game a problem with little little shits running around, kobolds and goblins, and they were ineffective, right? Or or ways of undead that could not zombies, because zombies could coordinate, but ones that could coordinate for a specific purpose.
Yeah.
And so Anna's attack of swarm, we allow more than 3 with that rule of 3 we have, and then every plus above 2.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's pretty neat.
Yeah, and the way I've developed it now in my 5e house rules going forward, it will be, I'm going to test it out and see how it really works in effect, so to speak. That is to say that when you have when there's 2 people or more attacking the same target, then you get increased proficiency bonus, so to speak, up to +6. So that way it helps the low ones, but the high ones don't get it, so to speak. So you only get it because you already kind of, if you have a +6, meaning you're a 20th level, whatever, something, and you have +6 proficiency bonus, it doesn't matter if there's 5 others. You're so damn good anyway. You don't need their help. But if you are like a bunch of lingonberries, newbies that don't know what's the right end of a spear, then if you are like 5 others, then you can be, and you're 6 of you, then you can be as effective proficiency-wise. And the reason I'm using proficiency is because then it automatically gives you bonuses on a bunch of stuff that it ties into the regular rules. It's not a specialty bonus that adds on top of it. You simply add to your proficiency bonus. You become more proficient in that situation. And that means that you can use all the rules and you just get additions to all the special maneuvers and stuff like that, like you had a higher proficiency in that situation. So that is the way I will handle it mechanically, so to speak.
Proficiency is also mapped out more
exactly. Yeah.
Through progression, whereas you can get somebody who's you're rocking out a 20 in, say, like strength, and you've got and you're 5th level.
Exactly. That means that you cap it automatically at 6, so to speak. So you keep the math within the limits of the game that is already there. You don't
and
make
they have to be higher level, because you don't hit. I think you don't hit the next plus in your you go from 2 to 3 at level 6 or 7.
Well, for me, I've graduated more, because in regular the 5th edition, you start at +2.
2, yeah.
Yeah, and what I've done is that level 0 and 1, you have 0. So you need to get to level 3, you get +1. So I have a +1 as well. So you have +1 to +6. Yeah, because I've thought, why don't you use effectively what I've done? I've taken the first couple of levels and made them into 5 levels. So I still have 20 levels, but I made the 20 and spread out the bonuses for 25 levels. That's what I did. I took the same bonuses, the same math that you have from 0 to 20, and made it from 0 to 20 again, so to speak, but I spread it out over more levels. So there's effectively 25 levels, but I kind of massaged them down. So you get, instead of having 4 levels before you increase a bonus, you have only 3. But you start with 0, and then and then you get +1, +2, etc. So it's a little bit more graduate in the beginning, which I think I wanted to expand the sweet spot, so to speak, before you get to these really, really high levels.
Is that already on your rules that are on your Patreon?
Yep, that is. I had a PDF with the combat rules and stuff that a little while. So anyone who goes to my Patreon, you can scroll down and you find a little PDF with the combat rules, and it has a level table that I put in: base hit points, proficiency bonus, exertion, and XP.
I saved my email with that. I haven't gone and done anything, but I saved it as a reminder.
Yep. So it's just, and I think the key thing when you tweak these things, and I think most DMs, we want to get into tweaking. We do what Jay have done, and you've done it now. I'm doing it and have done it. So try and stay within the math of the game, because as soon as you start adding things that are outside of the normal loop of the game, so to speak, or the envelope, then you get all sorts of nasty stuff. So I try to limit it. That's why I want to use proficiency bonus, because it's a mechanics that is already in the game. The only thing I did was that I added a +1 instead of going from 0 to +2. That was my only change.
I really like that. I think I'm gonna have to institute that. I like that a lot, actually.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask Will this question. So what spurred you on to do some 1E kits?
Yeah.
Oh, the reason to start doing the 1E kits is because, like, when I was doing old school essentials, fighters are boring as hell.
Yeah.
So, well, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, there's
nothing. And Will and Jay, can you please inform us who either have never had played first edition and had to fight kits, or like me, who forgot about it, and for it was a second edition thing.
It was second edition. Oh yeah, trust me.
So
every time I put one out,
yeah,
there's a number of people that pop up and chime up and go, "Hey, that's second edition." And I go, "Well, technically, it's not."
Exactly. Well, that's so
please,
true.
Where do they fit mechanically? What do they do, so to speak, a fighter kit?
Okay, so basically, what I did with each fighter kit is essentially I took one game mechanic. And the game mechanics are nothing super earth-shattering of any sense. Matter of fact, let me open that up. And then there's a description of what they are as far as the class. Then they have two, essentially, the proficiencies, their skills that are in there.
Yeah, I have them all here. I can open them up. Here's your site, and then we go here. I'll close this, and I go, I'm ready here. Here's the Noble Warrior.
Yep. So, and essentially what you get is you're getting, let me open that up so I can go along with you. And there it goes. And that's the picture. That's not what I need. There we go. Okay, so like basically what I did is I gave a brief description of what the Noble Warrior is. So like when I did this, somebody chimed in and said, that's a Cavalier. It's like, well, you obviously didn't read this. So
right.
Basically what it is it's giving you, like, these are role-playing prompts mostly. A lot of it is. And these are essentially, if you wanted to play somebody who was a royal. So essentially, this is somebody I recommend you use, like a baron, somebody who's maybe down on their luck. They don't have the taxes coming in, something like that, which is a real good reason to go adventuring, because you still got to kick money to the king, queen, what have you, the duke. You still got your responsibilities. So, and then basically we had tied to it some secondary skills or non-weapon proficiencies. So he has etiquette. And then he has heraldry, which essentially
I want to make heraldry a special skill in my game too.
Right?
But the 5e, it's not really, it doesn't have granular skills at that level, but you can have specialization or something. We'll see. Yeah.
And then you have basically the unique ability. With the unique ability for this guy is that it has to do with traveling, and essentially when you're in your domain, basically pulling out the royal card.
Oh yeah, you can go anywhere.
And using the royal card is basically what it is in a nutshell.
You live for free in your realm,
right,
or in your domain.
And that's what the noble class was. And what that was to do was to take the fighter class that we've got the one big thing that fighters need, which is weapon proficiency, right? So we got that down, but then there's really nothing else to the fighter. So these are just prompts in a different way. So somebody could go pick something, go, I like this concept, and it's all in one package for you. And you drop it down, and then there you go. You've got all these prompts and all these different things to help you as far as your character. Everything else on there too is, because it's first edition, a lot of the stuff is left open-ended and open to the DM's discretion and how the DM wants to implement it, because that's what makes first edition D&D first edition D&D. They don't have rules for everything. It allows for the judge, the DM, to be a referee. And so that's what I've done with these, and that's why a lot of these I have taken inspiration from the kits, because two that I did so far, where I did the noble and the peasant hero, which are both coming out of those second edition kits. But I took them, I kind of streamlined them. They don't have the same abilities, but they have basically it's the same type of flavor, but just done in a more 1E style, because second edition from first edition started to get more crunch to it, and then trying to codify things.
All these players specialty list brown books with the for the thief and fighters and wizards and all these. Hang on a second, I'll get one.
And that was the whole reason for the fighters, because I forget what show we were on, Jay. I got the whole idea from coming on your show.
It was a recent one. It was Outdoor Adventuring.
Yeah, and we were talking about it. Something about adventurers came up when I was like, you know what, that's a great idea. I'm going to do those, and they're super fun and super easy for me to put together and just knock out.
And they add flavor.
These books.
Yes, that's them exactly.
And I took the complete fighters that they were for all classes and stuff. Yeah, second edition.
Third edition, Sword and Fist.
Exactly. Third edition has equal amount of books for the different classes too. So
this is a good book that a lot of people don't know about. Combat, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. That's second edition, Player's Option Combat.
Yeah. That's one that I think that's probably on the horizon for me to take stuff out of that. And
of this.
Yeah.
Is that an ultra rare? Is this an ultra rare book, Patrick?
No,
I didn't think so.
It's it was towards the end of second edition.
Right.
Yeah, those were the 2.5 edition.
But it's got so many cool, like, different things that you can do, which I think you got two. I love them. I love different things.
High level campaigns, and there were some other cool stuff that came out in second edition there, and they are valuable even today because they have so many cool deep dives into stuff that is good even today.
Yeah, and I like there being alternatives and stuff. Third edition was really good for this, and the problem is that you can run into analysis paralysis up behind the more and more you add on. But like having the ability to just go, you know what, I want to do a mighty blow. I want to give an extra D6 to my damage and a +1 to hit, and then that's going to give whoever tries to hit me in return +2, because I'm going all out and I don't want defense. It's real mechanic.
We need to go into that deeper later on, because a whole chapter of this show, because there's something I need to discuss with you guys. So
okay.
we need to take that after we've done the kits and stuff. So
we don't kit in my game. We class, right? So as for me, I don't want to set up a kit. I want to set up something.
Do you do archetypes or but you have subclasses, right?
So this is, but for the fighter, I'm like, how do I make this better? So, and this is remember, this is Order of Kalu, because even though certain people says you can't even do this, but let's ignore that as a joke.
Yeah.
But yes, supplementary rules. This is in the back of Horror in the Holes. All right. So some things that I've added to the game for first edition that probably you have added, probably third edition added, was for a fighter. This is for everyone though. For when wielding a two-handed weapon, your damage is 1.5 times round up. So if you're +3, +6, if you have 18, 0 strength, you're +3, +9. And if you're fighting with two weapons, your secondary hand's damage is halved, round down. So if you have 17 strength and you're +1 hit, +1 damage in first edition, you're +1 hit 0 now. You lose that. All right. That was one of the things we did. That makes because we were losing the two-handed weapon wielders, right? Everyone was either sword and board or they were going dual two-fisted. So we two-weapon. We got rid of that real quick, because now, and you've seen some of them in the game, characters running around with pole arms, bastard swords, are nasty.
Yeah, Jay, that's really important, because when you tweak the rules, it's really important that you don't end up with the obvious choice, so to speak. That's the thing. There should be equal use of a lot of different things, but for different reasons. So you can max out some in damage, but then you can make them much harder to get, meaning you need to learn more stuff in order to do it, or some other obstacle to get over, so to speak. So think of it as there's more thing to tweak. So don't try to make all of them equal, so to speak. There should be some like, if you want to have like using 2 weapons really effective, yes, do it, but make sure that it's harder to learn and not everybody can do it, so to speak.
We have
and
all
limit who
those
can
weapon
do it. Yeah.
proficiencies.
You
You know, weapon
So
proficiencies need to be taken, and we also
yeah.
have weapon proficiencies to increase. Like someone can get extra plus from the shield. You know, shield mastery.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and they so
my house rules. I'm taking one idea from the new 5.5 then coming out, or 60. I prefer to call it 5.5 because it was like 3rd edition when it was a revision of the edition, so to speak. But
I guess we'll see in 2024.
Exactly. Yeah, but I think it's simple. Just call it 5.5. But it's what they have in their playtest when weapon mastery. So you basically have three levels of skills in using weapons. You either, or 4, you're non-proficient, which means that you don't get a proficiency bonus, or there's a whole bunch of stuff you can't do effectively. And then you can either be proficient, meaning then you can add your proficiency to hit, and you can do most things without too much problems. And then you can be specialized. That means that you add your proficiency bonus to damage as well.
Ooh, that is
a huge bonus. And then
they
you have
that in the playtest.
No, but that's my thing. And but then what I stole from their playtest is weapon mastery. So you can be a mastery of a single weapon. And that means that and that's like another weapon proficiency, and they're more dear to get in my setup. They are the comparative of learning spells and magic is to master a weapon. And when you master that weapon, you get, first of all, you unlock a whole bunch of cool stuff you can do with it that normal people have a really hard time doing, so to speak. And you get, depending on, some of these things are weapon specific. Certain weapons have, like spear, have reach, for instance. You have 10 feet of reach if you're specialized in using a spear. Others can barely do that, and so on. And then you have other things that are really, really cool.
That's going right where I think it should be. 100%.
Yeah.
Have you done that yet? Have you?
I haven't released all the rules, but I've basically written up all the rules. I just want someone to edit them a little bit, and then
that's for 5th.
So, yeah, that's for 5th. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. So
I've
actually, so I have these are my 4 levels. You're non-proficient, and you can learn either an individual weapon, or you can learn a group of weapon. And groups are simple weapons. Everybody knows them, so to speak. They are basically the regular the simple weapons from 5e or 3rd edition. And then you have axes, bows, blunt weapons, crossbows, short blades, swords, pole arms, or short swords are like long blades, so to speak, thrown weapons, punching weapons, and special weapons. And special weapons are weird ones like the blow thingy, and some weird ones that are out there, so to speak. And so each group is more difficult to learn, so to speak. So if you're like a wizard and you say, I want to learn one thing, I want to learn the spear or sword, you can learn just that. And you can get like a proficiency in it. And then you have but then you have to sacrifice a little bit of your magic ability. Or you can say, I want to be specialized in it. Then you have to sacrifice a little bit more of your magic ability. And you want to be a master of it, then you have to sacrifice even a little bit more of you become a little bit less wizard, so to speak. So that's how I handle it, so to speak. So you have to sacrifice a little bit in order to get it. And if you want to be a fighter and you want to specialize in the 2 or 3 weapons and be really good at things, then you will not do anything else than learn armor and all that. So you can be, it's more of a gradual thing in my classless system.
I like that a lot, actually.
Yeah.
For me, simple. Enhanced feats from 3rd edition melded into the weapon proficiency system.
That's really cool that you take in the feat system and do it. And that means that not all fighters are the same, meaning they can pick and choose a little bit what they want there.
Exactly, and that's why I don't have kits. We have a fighter that has 3, and look at this as a tree almost like what you're doing. You got a fighter that can go tank, sword and board, weapon and weapon to enhance armor class, right?
Yeah.
You got a dual wielding fighter, maybe finesse. They can if you look here, where's my weapon finesse? Weapon finesse. Dexterity used for to hit rolls, no strength bonus in any hand.
Yeah.
So a 11 strength fighter with an 18 dex can actually attack well, hit, but not do a lot more
Yeah.
damage. Yeah.
How
So
many feats can a fighter take? Meaning, how often do they take them, so to speak? Is something
so
you
let's
get every
go to that
5
page.
levels, every 3, every 10?
Let's see,
Right.
Where
Yeah,
is
that's
that? Why
what I was
isn't it
gonna
on
ask.
there? Here it is. Look at that. Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
Here it is. So just start.
Oh, okay. So you get them different depending on. Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
Just like you do
Yep.
with weapon proficiencies, except it's melded in. So you're actually getting them quicker than you do with just base weapon proficiencies.
But I'm surprised that the barbarian has more of them than the fighter.
They do, but remember these are weapons as well. So I still got to take
Oh,
sword.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are the rage abilities and stuff for the barbarian
already
included
built
in
in?
those?
It's built in already.
Oh, okay. So that's not included in those 5.
You don't
okay.
have to anything that's built into the class, like Ranger's tracking.
Okay.
These are outside of that. So when you have, like, say, a barbarian, these are weapon slots. Certain classes will get a weapon specialization of +1 to +2 damage without multiple attacks.
Yeah.
That differentiates the fighter from barbarian, from the ranger, from the paladin, and all that. So that's how we do that. But so this is like, most barbarians are going to take dagger, they're going to take a throwing axe, they're going to take a throwing spear, they're going to take a bastard sword, long sword, and then they may take something else up from those other lists.
Yeah.
And it's worked, and this has been tweaked, right? It's been tweaked over the years so that it is. And it's built. Anyone who plays outside of my campaign knows. Everyone, you have a sheet, and you get a sheet, and it has all these things. Like, this is Molly Hatchet. This is Darling's character, and it's going to be played on Saturday with Ed Greenwood, right? So there you go. So she has right there. You see, battle axe, double specialized, 2 darts. She has improved critical battle axe, which the prerequisite to that is a specialization. So she crits on a 19 or 20, and now she has a keen weapon. It doesn't crit 18, 19, 20. It's the same. Like crossbow, defensive training, muscle and armor class, taunt. There you go. So, boom. So she has 2 weapons, and the rest of them are some special things and that proficiency. There you go. That's how you customize your fighter. That's how you make your. And they all fighters, though, get this. And then I'll stop babbling here. So, and this I stole from. Everyone knows where I stole this from. Battle Demoralizing Shout.
Okay.
Straight class fighters only.
Yeah.
I try and make every class have something that no other class has. This is the thing that only fighters in my campaign have. They can do a battle cry for positive, almost like a bard song, but they're like getting morale, +1 to hit for 1 round per level, 10-foot radius, melee, or a demoralizing shout, and they can do that 3 times per day, a turn apart. Stole it from World of Warcraft. Yay!
And, when it comes to what characters can do in combat, I've taken one other concept from Advanced 5e Level Up. I've taken what they call exertion, and these are a little points, so to speak, that you need to exert yourself in combat in order to do certain things. So a lot of things like base attacks and just defending yourself doesn't cost anything. But if you do want to do some special ones, so to speak, so you want to charge, for instance, then you can do that, and then you spend 2 exertion points in doing it, and charge. Then it is. Charge is basically run an attack in one action, so to speak, just like it normally is in D&D. But then if you have proficiency bonus and athletics as a skill, then you pay 2 exertion. But if that means that if you have athletics and you use a weapon like a club or whatever, anyone can run and charge from the beginning. But if you don't have athletics, you have to pay 4 exertion. So then you're just a weakling, so to speak, and you have to spend until you like 3rd level or something like that in order you can charge if you don't spend on athletics. But if you spend, so I try to make some skills. There is a bunch of things in combat that you have sleight of hand, for instance, then you can do certain things like disarm and stuff like that. So I try to tie some skills into the prerequisite of things. So if
Anna, you got some great ideas there, and it's 5th edition. But with the other edition coming out, are you worried, or are you just
it's my house rules. I like 5e, and I'm like you. Now they can print all the books in the world.
Exactly.
I have my stuff, and
if you see something good in a new edition,
exactly. I'm good. Yeah, exactly.
I agree.
Yeah, but what I like with 5e is the basic mechanics, what the basic math of it, the balance of it. I really like it, and this simplified. It's like 3rd edition, but simplified action economy. So I like the action economy with an action, a movement, and a bonus action and a reaction. I kind of like it's like a simplified 3rd edition.
Yeah,
and I kind of like that.
That's the key. Is to keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah,
and that's why Norker. I know it would be great for variety for fighters if you did weapon versus armor class type.
Yeah,
I know it would be great, but that's another cross-reference chart, and that's another 10 to 15 to 20 to 30 seconds of me recalculating that adds and stacks adds in the game.
Yeah,
and it's a shame.
And also when it comes to things they can do, meaning I have 58 things you can do in combat listed, not because it's like I want to have rules for everything. It's more for inspiration and things. I have rules for things like dive and take cover. If they start shooting arrows at you, then dive and take for cover. So there is like a rule for that, so to speak. And it's more like guidelines how should handle it. And a lot of it is also most things you can actually do, even if you're not qualified, even if you don't have the prerequisite. Right. It's just that you might have disadvantage at it, so to speak. Or if you have a weapon mastery, you might have advantage at disarming someone.
I like that because with the way that's set, that you could do with the proficiency addition in there, no proficiency. Advantage, disadvantage. So it gives you a spectrum on how the competency of the person trying to do it.
Yeah, it's like disarm, for instance. Disarm that is like if you're unqualified, the opponent saves with advantage if you're not qualified to do it. And the prerequisite is weapon proficiency. So you need to be proficient in your weapon in order to do it. And if you are, then you can disarm. And try to disarm by using an action to do it. But then, and if you're really, really high level, I'm thinking about then you can, if you're a weapon master, you might be able to disarm as a bonus action. I haven't written that rule yet, but I'm thinking about writing it in. So if you're master at a weapon, then you can disarm as a bonus action. So if you meet that weapon, that fighter who is a swords master, meaning he can knock the sword out of as a side thing and move on, so to speak, and stuff like that. So you can kind of put the little extra spicing on if you do something.
I like
so
that.
To speak.
I like that.
Yeah. So there are. We have to see. Some of this might be a little bit overpowered or so on, but I like that. Even the wizard who has a staff at 10th level wizard, he or she should be able to disarm as well, but not be that good, so to speak, as a fighter, and a weapon master should be even better, or saying that the enemy saves with a disadvantage, or be able to do it as a bonus action. Some of these might be okay, sorry.
No, you're good. This is great. I'm just responding. All right, I want to do an arrogant thing here. Sorry. Anyone who's played in my game, Curtis, anyone else, does my combat system work? And does it move smoothly? I want to hear it because people are going to bust. If Josh is on,
I agree on both points. Okay. It really works.
Thanks.
And it
LJ,
works smoothly. And I also think that you've done something that is really cool. You adopted the rules to your game table.
Yeah.
You run it. It's not theater of the mind combat. It's not a grid combat on a VTT. Your rule system is perfect for quick combat with a bunch of miniatures on terrain. And because that's what you do, and I think it's a perfect example that you make the rules that suit your game. That's the thing. That's and Jay, I think yours is a perfect example of it, so to speak. That it suits your style of gaming, and it suits the way you play the game really, really well. And you also have more than average amount of players usually, which means that also means that simplify. I will probably have on air maybe 5. I will rarely get to 6. So my average, my rules are aimed for 4 players on a VTT, so to speak.
Right.
So I
Okay.
can go a little bit more granular and
Right.
and so on than you can on a game table where you have a ruler and so on. So a little bit more granular in some instances.
So
I
Scottish Chef.
think
Good.
I think your rules work so well. One of the big reasons is you have one of those beautiful minds. It's like Jay does so much and
Yeah.
takes things out of the hands of the players that
Mm-hmm.
are the
Yeah.
types of things
Yeah.
that, not that they can't do it, but you know it and you do it, and it streamlines everything to the extent where
I
it's just
It-
like boom, boom,
yeah.
boom, boom, boom.
I
Yeah, and
appreciate that, and I'm going to tell you. Let me retort real quick. I'm not bashing 5e, but I am. So the number one thing I see in every stream
yeah.
is these players forget. Oh, I have a bonus action. I hate those two words, bonus action. Everything's done. Oh, now my bonus action, and the other 6 people or 5 people are sitting there in chat, and they can feel and they take this breath. When's it going to be my turn? Drives me nuts.
Yeah.
That's
And I agree.
That's where the DM needs to step in.
True.
And
true.
the DM should step in and go, all right, we'll just remember that for your next turn. Move on to the next person.
Yeah, you don't get it.
Good point. That's a
Right?
good point.
That's what Tim would do.
That's a great point. But Jay, a follow-up question, Jay.
Sure, please.
Have you changed the rules or adapted the rules for streaming purposes? Meaning, when you started streaming, did that change? Did you change mechanically in some instances, or did that affect your game mechanically, so to speak?
So you're going to be surprised at the answer on this. For combat,
Yeah.
no.
Okay.
I think that it just that's the way we've always done it. I've changed other things about the game.
Right?
Yeah, we know. Like potty
But
mouse from my players.
But you didn't change the combat rules and how you do rounds.
I think we've tried to enhance it. When there's opportunity that comes up, because I don't want that to. I mean, you see the fights I put out there. That fight I had Thursday night, there's like 20 things that I got to do each round for an initiative. Giants and the whole party and the evil priests and stuff. I gotta boom, 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 keep it moving, because I don't want people to get bored out of their mind on. I want them to see some carnage, So
that's one thing where I've actually simplified things. I don't roll initiative anymore. What I do, or I just have it in Obsidian, and when I take the encounter, I just press the button and it automatically distributes them according to their initiative. And if I don't see anything obvious, then I'd simply take the obvious. If one character is the one that should have initiative, because whoever side initiate things goes first. If the players are actively doing something, then it's on my judgment. I don't make we don't make the rolls anymore, because that we save a lot of time, and that kills the immersion, because so game mechanic-y. So normally I only do it if it's really important. Otherwise I just skip it and just continue with the narration all the way into the combat, so to speak. And I simply weeded that out.
Lots of rules are always dependent upon the table.
Yeah.
Because if you've got players that are like quick on the ball, they've got their stuff down, it's like they're already ready for something when it comes up, and boom.
Yeah.
So I like doing a niche by side.
Oh yeah, group initiative. I have to.
Group initiatives. Lots of times. And just doing it that way. And then part of that's for speed. But depending on the game and depending on the table, I might change that. Might go to an individual.
Oh yeah, so. I do it on the enemy side, because I often have a lot of enemies. There's a lot of battles when there's been 10, 12, 15, 18 enemies near or far, so to speak. So the ones that are engaging the group directly, meaning the ones that are fighting and doing it, then I do individual initiative, just like the characters, because I like that when the things go back and forth and no one can tell exactly what's going to happen next. But the ones that are outside and maneuvering or just following whatever, or cast spells or something like that, building fortifications or holding the shield wall or whatever it is, I do group, so to speak. So all the 10 hobgoblins that are doing something over there, I kind of tend to do them at once, so to speak. So I try to just go with the flow and not let mechanics come in over I'm just adjudicating that on the fly, more or less. So initiative is much less interesting. I try to keep the narration going and easing gradually into combat. I keep the story going until the blow starts coming, so to speak. I want the mechanics out of the picture as long as possible, and I want the narration to who is intimidating who is maneuvering here, and then the blows come. I think that's really important. But that's because I want to be a little bit less crunchy than I used to be, and that other games are, and have a little bit more narration, and the story should tell a little bit more.
True. That's always a great thing.
Yeah.
Let me answer a question in chat.
Yeah,
All
please.
Right. Scottish Jeff asked a question, and it says the following: fighters should be able to give up a hit roll to be able to deflect an attack on another adjacent party member.
I would agree with that.
That's a good one. Yeah.
I have it covered. Fighters here, right? Fighter, adjacent party member, two individuals fighting. Taunt, the taunt skill. And there you go. Different way of doing it. Now, if I start adding in stuff like that, then you really get convoluted, because now I got to worry about preemptive initiative and all that other stuff. How do you deflect an incoming attack unless you there's all that. So that's why I have the taunt ability. So
I have deflect missiles and deflect strike. Those are things. So
in addition to monks, monks.
Oh, and anyone can try it, but it's the thing. It's only, you can only deflect one. If you have one attack, you can deflect one incoming missile or one incoming attack. That's the limitation. So you can try. Anyone can try it, but the thing is that in order to be able to effectively do it, you need sleight of hand and weapon proficiency to deflect missiles. And if you have them, then you can do it. And you need a reaction or a readied action. So you either use your reaction to do it, or you say, I'm going to stand here, and if something comes flying, I'm going to try and knock it out, so to speak. And you can shield, or you can use your weapon. That's either or. But you can only do it if you have 3 attacks, so you can deflect 3 missiles, and you need to see them coming. You can't be surprised or they're coming from your back or something like that. Then you can't do it. It's not an automatic. You need to see them, and you need to have a sense, meaning if it's pitch black and you can't see in the dark, or you're in some magic darkness you can't see, then it doesn't work either. So it has clear limitations, but it's still powerful, because if you're a high level and you have 3 attacks, you can deflect 3 things. And so it's both
sort of like
effective.
going completely defensive.
Yeah, exactly. I also have that too. That you can go complete. Yeah, exactly. You have parry. You can go completely. You can parry an attack, and you can go completely defense. And if you go complete defense, then basically everything that attacks you has a disadvantage. But your disadvantage is that the only thing you can do is take a 5-foot step. That's it. You can't do anything else. You just basically just trying to stay alive, and you can do it. And you can also increase. You can become an expert at defending yourself if you want to. Then you become a little bit. You get +4 on your armor class or something like that. But you need to be aware of your surroundings, so to speak. So you will have a disadvantage or not be good at it if it's pitch black or you're underwater and you can't see anything and stuff. So,
right.
So it's always fun. And it also takes exertion to deflect missiles. That's the thing. And deflect strikes also take exertions. You can't keep doing it forever. So it's something that it takes a lot of concentration. So you can only do it. It takes 3 exertions. So and if you're 20th level, you have 12 points. So then you can do it you can do it 4 times.
How often does the exertion reset?
Every long rest.
Okay,
but
so it's like a hit point.
Yeah, but I also think that I'm going to have the rules that you can spend hit points to simply, instead of, if your exertion runs out, you can use hit points. You can simply say, heck with it. I'm just going to stand here and just keep banging until I die, so to speak.
You use hit dice. Because the hit dice mechanics is already in there, and then
exactly.
Take it away, and then it's like you can't use that to You used it to do that, so you
perfect.
can't use it for hit points.
Thank you. You gave me. Yes, I'm going to do that. Yeah, use hit dice to exert. One hit die you get back to exertion or something. Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. You solved my dilemma. Yep.
Not a problem.
So this article by Roger Moore, and Roger Moore will be on next week, by the way, with Stephen Chenault,
Yay.
DM's Roundtable number 14. Yes, it would be a fun one. I was going to call it, Will, the old farts, because or the gray hairs, but I put it veteran DM perspectives.
Yep.
I was very
Good.
kind.
That's a nice way of putting it, man.
Yeah, that's next week. So,
Yep.
but Roger Moore did this article because this has existed in the Dungeon Master's Guide First Edition from day one. It's like 2 lines. It's -2 hit, -2 primary, -4 secondary. But Roger then took the reaction attacking adjustment and negated it back, creating these super uber dual wielding characters, right, from this table. As you can see, if you have 18 decks, you're 0 in your primary for penalty, -1 in your secondary. Well, that tends to be, especially if you're specialized now. Combine this with weapon specialization, all the other stuff. This kind of imbalanced the game for a while. We had all these long sword dagger, long sword short sword, long sword horse and space characters.
Yeah, but
running
does
around.
it? But does it? It depends on what you want. Meaning, I want my top of the line fighter. Meaning, if you're a 15th level fighter, or like if your character say, I want to be the best damn swordsman in the kingdom, or I want to be able to use a spear like none else. I'm not learning magic or any of that crap. I'm learning to use a spear as possible, or I want to wield my great sword as my. I want them to be able to dole out tons of damage. I want them to kill things way, way faster than anything else. That's the equivalent of using spells, whatever. So
I do exploding dice, damage dice. So and the exploding dice are on any hit. So it doesn't matter what it is. So like and especially so and then on the crit is doubled the dice. Okay, so you just doubled the chance of it exploding off of it. So adding on, just for that reason, I want to make the weapons, and part of the other end of that too is where I shorten down the amount of hit points.
Yeah,
so.
but that's the other thing, and I've raised up the number of hit points at low level without increasing them at high level. So you get more in they front load more, so to speak, for all characters. You get more of them when you lower and then. But you max out the same. But that is also one of the most advantage and problems with 5e, because 5e is a very hit points heavy game, meaning characters and monsters are bags of hit points, not like for a second edition. That's why I think that if for 5e to be as fun as for second edition, you need to dole out tons of damage, because you need to be able, some really powerful characters should be able to cut down something CR2 with 60 hit points in one round, so to speak. They should be able to for the game to be fun, and that goes with monsters and NPCs too. If you meet the best swordsman in the kingdom, he should be deadly if you're first, second, third.
Oh, for sure.
He should be able to kill you in one round on 50% chance, so to speak. That's where I want it to be. I want it to be gritty as hell, but not necessarily deadly, so to speak.
Yeah, that's first level is max hit points. Then I do hit points as normal up until 10th level. From 10th level on, you get your con bonus minimum 1. So you can never have 0 hit points as you go up in level. So you get 1 hit point and then whatever your con bonus is. Yeah. And so that's it.
For me, I want to do you get average and you roll, so you get average minimums, you get average or better, so to speak. That's how I will deal with it. And everyone starts out with the hit die, D6 hit die, and then you can invest XP and say, oh, I want my character to be beefier. And then
I tell you what, rolling for hit points is that's awesome. If you guys don't do that anymore,
you have
go back to doing it.
It's fun. But
we're playing.
What I do is that I want them to roll for damage, but for hit points, but they roll average or higher. So if they roll under average, they get average. So a little bit less. Yeah. So
I have a barbarian we're playing right now. And so I got max hit points at first level, so that's what
Oh yeah, that
my
me too.
DM was
Yeah.
giving me. And then I rolled a 2 and a 1 at that second
Oh,
and then
yeah.
third level on a D12.
Yeah, but yeah, I
So
also
there's
add.
a rogue rocking around with more hit points than I
Yeah,
have.
wow, that's sad. Yeah, but I also have you get hit points for just being a human, so to speak. So if you're medium sized creature, you get 6 hit points. I think it's six hit points. Yeah, basic hit points. If you're tiny, you get 4 hit points. If you're small, you get 6. If you're medium, you get 8. If you're large, you get 12. And if you're huge, you get 20. And if you're colossal, you get 100 just before you even a class, so to speak. That's just your biology alone. And then when you're 0 level, that or when you're first level, you get your first hit die. That's a full hit die, so to speak, a D6. And then you can level that up. So if you want to spend XP instead of learning spells or become the best swordsman in the world, you can learn you can upgrade it to D8, D10, or D12.
I'm gonna do something stupid. How's that
Yep.
sound? Yes, I was like, yes, do
stupid.
it.
Don't tweet again. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, Casey, I'm gonna bring this out because you helped me build the races and classes list. And I'm going to do something I shouldn't do because it's gonna start a fight. But let's have fun with it, Will. What do you say? I'm gonna try and what's that?
I'd say we have fun.
I'm gonna try and prioritize the damage. And I've done this with damage dealers. You know what? I may have to do the other one. The other one fits more. Let me do it without
and
the sources.
Thank you, Casey.
Yeah, that was really a great thing you did for me back then. Here, how about this one? All right, this will make it easier. Okay, all right. So if we go down here in my game, the nastiest of the melee character classes is what? Does anyone know? Not my players. So Bill, the Master Crafter, Tom is on, or Walt, or which one? No, that's incorrect,
Archer.
Casey. No, the melee.
Oh, melee?
The archers are the king. Archers are the king of the missile fire.
Swashbuckler.
No, Swashbuckler's a thief. Yeah. It is actually right here, the Foot Knight Saxon. Why?
Oh, yeah. That.
Oh.
Okay. Why?
It's the type of weapon he specializes.
They can double specialize in two-handed weapons. They're the only one I allow. Remember that little caveat in the weapon specialization in first edition Art of Arcana? You can't double specialize with two-handed swords and polearms. Because why is that? I thought. Well, I'm thinking someone wanted to limit the damage, right? Someone in the game says, "Oh, that's going to be too much. Everyone's going to be taking two-handed swords." Well, everyone was taking two-weapon fighting for all the longest time. So the Saxon can do +3 hit, +3 damage, double specialization, plus in their strength bonus 1.5 times in their secondary hand. They do the most damage out of all the single weapon wielders. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Which class does the most damage dual weapon wielding? This is a tough one.
Swashbuckler.
That's Casey. Casey's correct. The duelist. It's a tie between the duelist and the Elven Cavalier, but I think the duelist takes it. Yes, Casey, because Casey has one. No, it's the duelist.
Isn't that the same thing? That's the same.
No, they're not. Yeah, it's duelist. It's the duelist. Yeah, and the duelist is from Dragon Magazine, right? So the duelist is way down here. Yeah, there's the duelist. The duelist. That's it. Second's the Elven Cavalier, because of the amount of pluses they get. Yep. So there you go. Hey, darling. So I just wanted to point out that we solved it. The fighter can do any of those stances, whereas those classes can only do really the one. The fighter can do a tank, shield weapon, right? One-handed weapon of any type they want, double specialize with it. The fighter can do a dual wielding, or they can do a two-handed weapon style. They can run around with that two-handed sword when we were little kids. Oh, we used to do. Clerics can use Lucerne hammers because we thought a hammer was blunt, but it's not. It's a polearm. So there you go. I just wanted to point that out. That ours has evolved to each style of fighting, and I just break it down to those three to make. And there's other styles, but so
now I want to add something that I think brings into my style what I want to do in combat. I have a function called shield wall. characters
that's
who are
nice.
advanced or have proficiency in shield use. If there's like one of the if there's like a 10-foot corridor, the 10-foot wide, there's two characters that have shields. They can actually form a shield wall and cover. So everything that comes from their front has they increase their armor class with 4, and that goes for everything that is behind them as well. And they save with advantage against all sorts of disarm and stuff like that. And they also, another important thing, they are also immune against flanking. So that means that behind the shield wall, because that means that they are so good at doing it. So shield proficiency is really, really good. And if you have a 5-foot corridor, it only takes one trained fighter with or warrior type with a shield, and he forms a shield wall that is 5 feet wide, so to speak.
Can I
so
ask you a question, Anna, about that?
Yeah, please.
Because I remember playing Pathfinder Kingmaker, the computer game that had the shield wall ability. Did it come from Pathfinder?
To some degree, yeah, they've been using it, but not. Okay. I've adapted it to 5e rules, so to speak. So I try to really,
very cool.
And the idea, because I want it to be natural that you can have to face a line of, and what they can do more, they can use shove, and you can push, and you can shove, so to speak. So you can actually run up towards them, and you can kind of push them back, or they can push you back. So you can win or lose territory, so to speak, and doing it. So you have a shove attack, and then you can actually stand your ground and stuff like that. So you get these, like you get in the movies, you get these kind of battle naturally from the rules, so to speak, because that's the most effective way of fighting. And if you have a shield wall, that means that you are not immune, but it's much harder to get to you. So fighters or warriors with shields can do a lot to protect, like spellcasters and others behind, so to speak. So it's really helpful to have someone with a shield, and that means that someone with a spear can stand behind and attack through them, and that makes them doubly effective, so to speak. So if you have pole arms, spears, and shield walls are really effective, especially against horses and
cool.
and all sorts of stuff. Plus the fact that you save with advantage against all sorts of stuff. That means that you're
fireball.
That depends on, so to speak, but I will
the
give
dwarves with the shields in front.
I would give them an advantage. I would give them an advantage if the thing is coming from that sense. If they cast a shield, a fireball behind, I wouldn't give them an advantage. But if the fireball is at the front in order to kill them, I would give them an advantage. Yes.
So Will, I got your sellsword up here, and I think this is the last one you did out of the 3.
Yeah.
So, I did that yet. That was posted yesterday.
Yes. So why don't you tell us about this one?
So the sellsword is essentially he's a mercenary, but what makes him different from being a mercenary is the fact that the sellsword, he doesn't work in a group. He works on his own.
Oh.
So basically, he's contract work. He's good as a bodyguard, but it even says in there, like, they tend to specialize in something, and they could specialize in anything from like assassination, highway robbery, public displays of humiliation, but they could also do things like being a bodyguard or specialize in rescues. Something like that. It's their calling card, essentially. What it is why they are well known for who and what they are. Again, they have the non-weapon proficiencies for secondary skills that are connected to them, which for these guys are intimidate, and then they also have survival, because they're rough and tumble kind of guys that are out and about. Some of these have like specialization suggestions for, like this one here. Specialized suggestion is an equipment that he should have starting out. And this depends on your DM and depends on the type of game you're playing, but a higher level quality of weapon. It is his calling card. It's what he makes his living by. So it could be like, I know, Jay, you use the Masterworks,
Yeah.
which I like that. I think that's a great way of having a special type of weapon that's not magical, or like you give him, like, even if you wanted, depending on how high fantasy you're going, like a +1 weapon. Now, granted, if I were to do that, it would be at the detriment of some of his other gear, but still. And then he has 3 unique abilities that he can do one of these once every 24 hours. Once. And that's just once.
Johnny Dangerously.
Oh, yeah. The low blow, foot stomp, and the eye gouge.
Oh.
And each one of these has a special, like the low blow, you hit them in a no place, and they get a -1 to their rolls for duration for 1d4 rounds, provided they hit. So you roll the hit like normal. If the hit is successful, you transform it into a low blow. It does no damage at that point, but then you get the special ability. Like foot stomp, they will stomp on somebody's foot. Of course, this will only work for bipedal types. If you have multiple feet, it's quite ineffective. But essentially what you do is you will, if you hit, you can turn it into a foot stomp, and you'll their movement is decreased by half for 1d4 rounds. And then eye gouge is you poke them in the eye.
Or throw something in his face or something.
Yeah, it could be that as well. And then basically what's going to end up happening is they'll get a -1 to rolls for their duration for anything that relies on vision, attacking being one of them. But also, too, depending on the situation, you could, if seeing around them is important at that point in time, you could choose this. And then again, these don't work against all creatures either. So like undead, constructs, these things don't work. But essentially what these do, these add and reinforce the flavor that these are men and women necessarily of less savory, can be. They're more of a just get the job done at any cost sort of thing is who and what they are. So, and that's, again, this is more based on flavor. It gives you a little something extra that you bolt on top of a standard first edition fighter that doesn't really change much at all, if anything, really, when it comes to the standard rules, but gives you definite direction in which to have the character go.
Right. This lives in the 1E, 2E realm. Either one would work. I would work. I think for OD&D in basic too. I really think. I
think so. I think so.
Or OSC. Right. Oh no! The ever mysterious Tim.
I like the zoom in. That was kind of cool.
That was like
there he is. Death comes quickly.
Yep.
Yes. So, what alignment limits on Sellsword? Will, do you have any alignment limits on any of these?
I have recommendations sometimes. Basically, I might put in there something about it. Usually I don't. Especially for like fighters. All of these I'm trying to leave open for interpretation for any of the alignments so that it's not restrictive. I do also say I do have a little, not on all of them, but some of them, it'll have recommendations like on race. Because like for the sellsword that we were just talking about, it says any race can be a sellsword, but it talks about how half orcs are tend to excel in this realm. So yeah,
and you're yes. And
because they into
that. We still have them in old school, especially in Greyhawk. So I don't have a problem with lawful good sellsword there, Razzmatazz. I mean, you could have this. You could have a Fultus Do-Gooder or a St. Cuthbert one. La la. I'm only going to
which is like how I put in there, being a bodyguard or specializing in rescues and rescuing people.
But they might do it for food noble. Or for prayers and devotion and stuff like that instead of money.
Walk the earth like Cain.
Coin. Yeah.
Right.
You know, so
if you feed me and you're a good, become a good Pillorian, I'll fight for you. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Watch this. Tim, welcome. The ever mysterious Tim.
Yeah.
Hi.
Give me one thing, a fighter or a combat rule that differs from my game from yours.
One thing?
Just one. Yeah, one thing to start.
I will provide special dispensation for longer weapons.
You'll do reach.
Reach, yeah. So if
Yes.
someone's set for a charge with a long spear, and they're gonna, even if you want initiative, they're gonna have a chance to catch it before you close.
Great. There you go.
That's
Instant
a
kill
little.
hit.
Yeah,
There-
reach.
just an-
Yeah.
There are instant kill hits. Assassins and monks in first edition. A monk with if a monk rolls 5 better than its hit roll, it stuns. He or she stuns in first edition, and then there's a percent of their armor class with plus their levels over 7 to outright kill. It's right in the first edition rulebook. Yeah.
Yep.
So
I have
Skageth loves
these
that.
things too, crushing blows and stuff you can do when
Mhm.
you're really good. If you have a weapon mastery and a heavy weapon and you spend 3 exertion, you can try and do a crushing blow, and that means that you stun someone. So that requires a bit of juggling. But one thing that I've done is non-lethal weapon. If you want to do non-lethal with, you can pummel someone with the flat side of a sword or something. Then you need to be able to do that effectively. You need weapon mastery. Otherwise, you attack with a disadvantage, which I think it's kind of because the weapons are supposed to do damage, so they are more tricky to use them without actually injuring someone, so to speak.
So Tim, what's your input on this discussion? We've been all over
Yeah,
the place. We're really talking a lot on the differences in fighters and combat, and the special abilities, and there's different. Aaron's got a whole different style of almost an entire tree of different 5Es. Will has his new kits for 1E, and I'm talking about all the stuff how we've differentiated fighters over the 40 years. What would you like to discuss? He's awfully quiet tonight. He must be medicated.
I'm not medicated.
I'm just kidding. Do you? All right.
Well-
Let me ask this: do you like regular straight class fighters over cavaliers, or do you like the fighter? You've always liked the fighter.
In general, I prefer the straight class fighter over the cavalier.
Well, link your Patreon, please.
If
Mhm.
if I was running a game that was going to be more political, courtly, more nuanced with society, cavaliers would play an interesting part because they have sort of the honor saving face aspect that allows them to get manipulated by the DM to do stuff.
Right.
So, which I'm doing now. It really now Dervilia has to do.
Oh yes, but
She's gonna dance
that's
to somebody
city
else's
state of the
tune.
Invincible Overlord. That is the city state, not the Greyhawk.
But the same
that's okay.
applies.
Yeah,
But the same applies. I think depending on who the patron is, or so I like the plain. Yeah, the fighter you can change your fighter culturally to fit any of those. So you could have a guy who doesn't have the stats to be technically a cavalier, but he decides that's the code they live by, and they buy the armor and they do everything similar. Kind of what I was doing with the Rovers,
that is a great point, and that exactly fits Will's Noble Warrior. That exactly fits this.
100%.
Not a cavalier. There's
not
no
a cavalier,
horsemanship
but
on here at all.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. He's all about,
Yeah.
I'm a
great
noble.
Point.
And I've got different things that are given to me because I'm a noble.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the reason I want to go classless, because it's what happens in the game from a campaign perspective. That's mechanics should not precede. It's the setting that should go before mechanics, so to speak. So whoever you train as much or as little in the stuff as the required of the story and what your character do. Are you a warrior in the world? Then you know way more about fighting than someone who is not, so to speak.
There's 3 so far for fighters, Doc. Right? There's 3 in there so far for fighters.
6.
Oh, there's 6? Which ones I missed?
Yep.
I have peasant here. Oh,
I put
Oh, I'm sorry.
6, and there'll be at least 15 when I'm done. Hold on.
I missed 3. My apologies.
Thank you, Varl. Yeah, I put the link into my house rules, the combat actions. It's
I'm
just
gonna-
a first version of it. So
This link right here is to all the AD&D kits. that link right there goes to all of them. So you got the sellsword, you got the noble warrior, you got the peasant hero, you have the wizard slayer,
Okay, they're all in the same.
and
all right.
and the swashbuckler.
Buckler.
You
Yes.
should be a patron of Will's. His patron is fantastic.
And it's inexpensive, everyone. What's it, $2 or $3?
It's $2 to just be a patron. It's $3 if you want to vote
Yes.
on what gets done. And then there's because Zerathon, Josh, he's all like, there should be a $5 level just so I can give you extra money. I'm like, okay. So I made that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm going to revamp it fairly soon too, the levels and do a bit of a revamp there too. So yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and then the voting is for, like, I'll say right now, I'm doing the druids right now, and I've almost done all the ones that were voted on. So if you're a Patreon and you haven't voted, go vote on which ones you want to see get done. So okay, I'm done.
No, that's awesome.
Oh, it's cool. Yeah.
Real quick, this second edition book is great. Player's option combat system. Now a lot of this stuff we've all used here. There's facing, there's flanking. It shows all the base stuff that a lot.
But I didn't like the layout of those books. It looks way too
looks
kind of
edition.
Well, no, it looks kind of frilly and doesn't look fantasy to me. It's kind of it looks like a wedding invitation. Not like a fantasy book. And wedding invitation should look like that, but the fantasy book should look grittier, I think. Yeah.
It is a wedding. You're gonna marry their sword.
Yeah.
That might be,
Even if you pull out
fantasy
one
wedding,
to two things out of any book you get, that's gold. That is absolute gold. All right. So let's ask Tim again. Tim, tell us something like that you think is super cool about Greyhawk in terms of fighters and combat, or something that you like have incorporated into yours. Like, because I know your Rovers of the Barrows one, you've done a ton of different classes, but as it pertains to fighters, like tell us about Anna's character as a fighter subclass.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. So that's the commando.
The commando, yes.
Which is kind of like the you think special operator, light fighter. It
fight a rogue kind of
secretly entry specialist, so they can get in the places and then surprise people suddenly and kill them and then disappear. And then run away.
More of an offensive fighter than a defense. You're really good in offense, but you're not the one that stand in a corridor and defend it, so to speak.
The speed and ability to kind of remain hidden is the defense they have, so they suddenly can spring ambushes, and that's why I give them an advantage when they get an attack from surprise of doing more damage. And then they can climb. They're not as good as a thief climbing, but they can, hide, and I like that class.
I do too.
The commando is a fighter based, the scout is thief based.
Correct.
All right, that's the main difference between them.
Yeah.
So
and I like that in a lot of D&D, meaning that you have the fire, protection, and movement, so to speak, those three classical things that should all affect your combat ability. And I would see more kind of interesting balance, meaning you can have firepower, meaning damage ability and movement, and be less effective in defense, or you can have a lot of so you can play with those three and have 2 out of the 3 for various types, but not all 3, so to speak. Or you can be reasonably good on all 3, but or specialize in 2 of them, or super specialize in 1. But then you will be, if you only do a lot of damage and either not protected or movement, so to speak. But you can have a someone who is mobile and can do a lot of damage, but are not good at staying power or something. So
well, in the very first adventure that I ran, they had to infiltrate a long way to get close, and there was a couple close calls running into things, which if she had been a regular fighter wearing some chain mail would have been a problem.
Yep.
It would have been a
or
swimming fording the stream and swimming the stream would have been a problem.
But then I think it's important to have, there should be more than one role, even for combatants, so to speak, even for fighters. You should have different type. The combat should be varied enough that there's more room for more than one speciality, so to speak.
I know we're going to keep getting variables until finally we're playing Warhammer.
Yeah,
Fantasy
yeah.
Weekend.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
But you
Not
should,
yet.
yeah.
Not even. No.
But
No.
the important, yeah, but it's also important to make sure that they're not so super specialized that they become terrible if they're not in their right environment. So
Right,
to
like
speak.
Cavaliers.
Yeah.
So a couple questions I'm going to answer in the audience here. Guys, Jeff, our multi-class fighters don't get weapon specialization or the battle shouts. Straight class only. So the fighter clerk mage or the fighter mage is a fighter with the abilities of all the weapons and all, and they can take some stuff where they get +1 to hits, but they don't get weapon specialization. That's the big difference. Secondly, Doc Shoulder asked a great question. What's the best fighter multi-class? And I'm going to say the best one, dual 2 is fighter mage. The best one 3 is fighter clerk mage.
You're trying dual class or multi-class?
Not multi with 2, multi with 3. Fighter mage.
Okay.
That's my opinion. What about you?
Yeah.
What do you think, Tim?
Fighter cleric is awful potent as well.
Yeah, it is. But remember, they don't get specialty priest abilities.
Yeah,
just
but
base clerics.
still.
Yeah, I know. True.
I mean, the whole person is still whole person.
It is. Scott, yeah, fighter mage because your thief is that character in Thursday Night Daphne, the NPC. She's fighter mage thief. One of Tim's best characters of all time, Ulrich, is a fighter mage thief. Pretty nasty for those triple class options that all those Ranger Illusionist. You can't have that. How can you have a Ranger Illusionist, Lord Kalan? Can't have it.
You gotta be human or gnome.
Human or gnomes, and gnomes can't be rangers, and humans can't multi-class for that. So wah. No, fighter illusionist gnome.
Depends on your edition, Jay.
Norker, that's allowed. Oh yeah.
Not the good edition.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Fighter illusionist can happen. The problem
We're talking
with
about
that,
fighters. We gotta fight.
Yeah. Fighter illusionist is okay. The problem with that is if you're a deep gnome, you can't summon earth elementals. Illusionists don't get that weird ability, which is strange. But
yeah. In my rules, it depends on how much you can be gradual. You can go from just knowing fighting and have no idea of magic whatsoever, or you can be somewhere in between, or you can start out being just fighter, and then you can or just learning really good at fighting, and then you can learn you can cherry pick certain things in magic, or you can. So, for instance, you can maneuver DC calculation. You can be really good at using a sword, but you don't know any other weapon, for instance, or you might want to say, I can do basic using a sword and a shield and stuff, but I'm not that good at special maneuvers and fancy stuff like that, or I skip my heavy armor and stuff. So you can, in my system, you can cherry pick over time. So you can be gradual, but you will not, meaning you will not be a well-rounded fighter, or you will never be a really good spellcaster, but you will be somewhere in between, and you can have your cool special abilities here and there. So it's you only have this much you can learn. That's basically
I
the
think
thing.
In 3rd edition, I'm pretty sure 4th didn't really have a whole lot of multi-classing. I think the way the rules were, but in 3rd edition and definitely in 5th edition, the dip is king.
Yeah.
So, for example, you can take like 3 levels of barbarian, get your damage destruction and your rage abilities, and take the rest of it as fighter, and become a very potent.
But that's
fighter.
But that's the problem with classes, is that so much is front loaded. You get so much in the first couple of levels in classes, and then
in a lot of the back end stuff, like in 3rd edition, your capstones and stuff, they were all crap. So nobody cared if you got to that. You know, it's like I want the cool combinations with the stuff that I get early.
So what I've done is I've cut it up. So sneak attack, for instance, you get like 1d6, and then you have to pay again to get the second one or the third one. And same thing, rage ability. You can get a little bit of rage, but then you have to pay more XP or sacrifice something else to get more of it, so to speak. So you have to dole out everything in small portions that are equal, so to speak. So it becomes a little bit tricky that way. Or you have to decide, do I want to know more of that, or do I want to? So it's one or the other.
One thing I did notice is, like, in the newer editions, while taking dips for maximization of customization is prevalent, it doesn't really, I mean, there's some broken stuff, of course, but for the most part, it all is balanced extremely well, because even those characters that are tweaked, the straight class characters they're right there. They're not like totally eclipsed.
Yeah.
There are a couple of, just like anything, there's a couple of combinations that it's like, yeah, that should be banned. Yeah, you shouldn't allow that.
That's the good thing with classes. And now I'm going to defend something I don't use in my game. Classes are great because they are pre-checked packages that are vetted and check that they work, so to speak. So and especially if you have players that begins the game, and it's a great way of getting into the game. You set it up quickly and all that. So there's a good reason that D&D had classes and still have them, so to speak.
For new players, I think it's awesome.
Oh yeah, it's almost necessary. But my house rules is not for new players. Yeah.
What does DIPS mean? What is that? Is that an acronym?
No. So basically what it is you take say, like, for example, I'm playing a fighter and I'm going to take a barbarian dip. What that means is I'm going to take a couple of levels of barbarian to get certain abilities from the barbarian class. So like I might be like, say,
cheating.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Cheating, and you're giving up the whole point.
What they call that, Jim, is optimization.
Exactly what.
Wait. Who took a first level fighter and then immediately switched them over to another class?
No. That's not
it's
the same
a build.
thing.
Yeah.
A barbarian is a specialized thing, unless you're just treating it. Oh, barbarians are great fighters. No, culturally, they're not necessarily the best fighters.
That was awesome.
That
was great.
Yep. Talk to a Pathfinder player, and it's the build. It's the build.
This
what
is
build
my.
are you doing?
Yeah, this is my beef with it. So like, let's say you start off as a fighter, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna multi-class into barbarian. But it's like, what do you? What? All of a sudden you become uncivilized? It's like, what was that in storyline?
Right.
That got you to that.
Yeah, that's why I don't like classes, because in order to get that, you need
that's third edition over Crunch, but there's some people who still like Dale and all, and that's great. Hey, you want to play 3.5 or Pathfinder 1E? That's great, man. It just
I would let somebody who had a barbarian, who played him for a while, and if maybe he did get civilized, maybe he did move out, maybe he was like Conan and he got sent to the greatest war masters of the East to learn, and then okay, you want to be a fighter, you can do that, and so they become a first level fighter instead. After if that fit into the game and the story of the individual, but not I'm a fighter and I'm going to just go out and eat these mushrooms with these guys on the savannah and
there it is,
become better at raging. That doesn't make any sense.
No,
that's not even a good story. You can't even write a good story.
No, but Tim, you and me, we think from a campaign perspective first and rules afterwards. A lot of others think the opposite. The rules comes first, and the setting and the story are flavored for the rules.
But I'll say
it's two different ways of playing. I'll say not saying one is better than the other. It's just two different ways of looking at it.
We're right.
There are ways, though, to build those classes that you have into the campaign setting.
Yeah.
Like, for example, about my bounty hunter, the guilds, all that, you know, and stuff. All right, I want to show something real quick. So, of my Ed Greenwood group, there are 2 multi-class players. So, and Little Bird, she's only played 4 or 5 times ever, old school, and she has a cleric mage. 6 a cleric mage, and the other one is a Tim will like this. Myriad, Voda, witch thief. Borda. Yes. So multi-classing in old school is fun. We just gotta limit it, just like anything else. So, Bill, barbarian duelist is the way to go. That's not funny, Bill. You know that's not happening ever. No. Here's the ultimate one was the other Bill, and I'm gonna tell a quick story.
Oh, the Bill, no Bill.
The other Bill. This is exactly. The no Bill. This Bill.
You see Casey's what he put in chat. See, there's a good example.
Yeah, look at that. That's just insane. He said he can walk through a prismatic wall with nothing happening to him.
Okay. Is that female half elf, barbarian 2, fighter 2, ranger 2, rogue 3.
You do have a barbarian that has become civilized, Walt, but she's still a barbarian class. And she's like 9th or 10th level, super high for a barbarian, right?
Yeah. She puts ketchup on hot dogs.
Yes, and she's worships Tritharian. She's in Greyhawk City. She has a brand. She branded her head. just great stuff right there. But it's a great flavor class. So
And I don't think when I say branded, I don't think he's talking about copyright.
I mean, if people enjoy playing optimization that's how they like their D&D, I mean,
sure,
go with the gods, man. Have fun
Go
with
with
it,
it.
and whatnot. It's obviously that's your style.
Well, some people start as a cavalier, and then somehow it's okay for Jay to make them become a thief. And I don't, that was okay,
Yeah.
right, Jay?
Yeah. What? Well, yeah. That was an NPC, right? So Darius the Deposed.
Darius the Deposed.
Yes, and that was a great story. But here's the Bill story, the crazy Bill story.
Okay.
He had a character who was a cavalier, and his name was Ajun. So he stole that right from Forgotten Realms, right? So Ajun went up to like 10th level cavalier, which is super high to begin with, and he got bored. He always certain people get bored. He gets bored, so he turns him into an archer. He dual classes him to an archer. I'm like, that's just dumb. You're never going to surpass your cavalier level. And then he's the one who always complained, I never got a magic longbow. Well, that's because you complained about it every adventure, right? It's like the Mike Disney thing with the cloak of invincibility. You're never going to see one because you complain about it every time you play. I know it's a joke, but there's certain times you don't want to do stuff like that because it just doesn't make sense. Dual classing, for humans is cool, but not when you get so high level it makes no sense in the game. It makes no sense in the core rules either. Why would you do that? So yeah, if you have any more than the basic classes with the core rules,
it does make some sense for a fighter when he gets older to go to an academic sort of career, a cleric or a magic user, because they've gotten smarter, wiser. They're slowing down physically, so they're going to start. And
I guess so.
So I mean, the double class makes sense if like Reginald. That's what he did. Glamdring, my character, did that. There's a couple others that you've have switched once they've matured, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mature, like they're old for D&D characters. They're middle age.
That's the course of gameplay too, and that's the thing. Where if we talk about Greyhawk, for all of us, we're all doing this with Greyhawk in mind, right? Of sort. Maybe Tim not as much for the city state adventure, but Anna, you're doing all your stuff to fit in your Greyhawk campaign. Mm-hmm. Well, you were always thinking about Greyhawk, what you're doing. I think about it too, because I don't want I fit duelist into the world really well. I think I love the duelist from bandits, guardians. Will, you love guardians, right? So Eric Mengi, and we all love this character, right? Anna Tallowick Mulberry, the guardian,
yes, awesome.
halfling guardian that we'll see on next Saturday with our Greenwood, right? So.
Jay, one question. Do you have special classes? You have Elven Cavaliers. Any other special races or for halflings?
The Cavalier for the Guardian for halflings. Mm-hmm. For dwarves, the Shield Thane, which is not a dwarven defender, and in fact, the nose picking Bill created that class.
Okay,
I'll give him credit for it.
Did something
and that is the best. We never asked what's the best sword and board tank, and that's the Shield Thane. Yeah. They're the only
and that's only for dwarves, right?
Only for dwarves. Mm-hmm. Yes. So we do have racial ones. Those are the three. Yep, absolutely. Razmataz, you do have time to do a Greyhawk campaign. You just got to make the time, man, because the community will embrace it. Mm-hmm. The community will embrace it. Let's call Will. I'm going to call Will out for a second here. Watch this.
Yes.
It's going to be fun. Will.
Yes, sir.
You stole the names right from this book. Noble Warrior.
Yeah, they were
awesome.
Noble Warrior and the Peasant War.
The Peasant one I just saw in here. I was like,
Peasant Hero are both the inspiration for both of those guys come from that.
Peasant Hero. There you go. All right, cool. Yep. That's cool. I mean, it doesn't matter, but it's a good place to do it. So,
basically what I was doing is I was taking what they were doing with second edition and actually molding it into a more pliable version for first.
And that's what we do all the time. So we don't use kits, but if we wanted to make a class, for example, if Tim wanted to come to me, and he has with a scout, for example, and I allowed Tim to play the scout in my game, it hasn't gotten beyond that one character though. I will allow them. Even if it's a 3rd edition or 5th edition, I want to try this. We'll back convert it to 1st edition, and then we'll play test it. Bill created the Maester class. I'm trying to figure out how to put that in the Free City of Altamira box set. Yeah, we got to change the name. We're going to change it to Magister, and which kind of work. So we're trying to do that. Let's see the chat.
Spell it differently. Put a couple extra M's
Ed
in
Greenwood
there.
said Magister is a general term because he has the
Yes.
he said it's okay. So you also have fake fighters in AD&D. The Bard with the blade kit was sick when built right. Yes, but those were kits 2nd edition, Baldur's Gate, or they were really nasty. That blade character, everyone remember Air Dalis from Baldur's Gate 2?
Like the name.
He was a tiefling too.
Mm.
He was a tiefling in 2nd edition for Baldur's Gate.
You mean a Cambion?
No, he was actually called a tiefling. It was 2nd edition.
I don't. In my Greyhawk,
I was just saying, they are Cambions. Tieflings are Cambions. Yep.
Yeah, but
that's the Greyhawk term.
That was the first time I saw one in a video game.
Yeah, but I totally agree with you, Will. In Greyhawk, Tieflings are Cambions.
Yep.
Yep.
All right, so we'll go around, start around and go roundabout. How's that sound? So Anna, bring up something that you like doing unique to combat or even another fighter enhancement.
Ooh.
When it comes to I want to I'm iterate again to say I want combat rules I want the type of combat that I see in fantasy movies and stuff. I want my shield walls. I want my that should line up. So I try to make the rules that facilitate the type of style of combat I want to see, so to speak. I want the rules to facilitate. So I have things for shield walls. I have fallback rules. I have like hold your ground rules. I have shove rules and stuff like that. It's not necessarily you can try and do things outside, but I want to have I have 56 maneuvers that you can do, and they're listed, and most of them can be done even untrained or unqualified, so to speak. But then they become trickier and more difficult, and you're not likely to succeed. But if you have various things, and also one thing I've introduced is that if you have things like athletics, acrobatics, sleight of hand, intimidation, and those skills, you have use of them in combat, so to speak. So if you want to charge, for instance, athletics is the skill. So a lot of maneuvers are prerequisite athletics in order to do them effectively. Intimidation is the same, but you can intimidate during combat, so to speak. You can make the other one scared and lose around and stuff like that. So by intimidation. So I want skills tied into combat, so to speak, in what you can do and stuff, but it's still want unskilled and untrained to have a fighting chance unless you meet the master of something. So I want more graduation in it, and I want the skills to matter more in combat, because normally combat and skills is something you do off combat. I want a lot of skills to be something in, and especially acrobatics, intimidation, athletics and stuff are really important. Sleight of hand is, you can use that for several maneuvers like disarm and stuff.
Follow-up question, and I don't know if Amy's on or any of your players. Is that game Sunday a constant play test of everything you're incorporating? Yes. Yep.
Slowly. I'm slowly weaving it into it. And to my players' dismay, I haven't done it. I'm doing it bit by bit, so to speak. I'm sending them rules and then introducing it bit by bit, so to speak. So and then my next campaign, I will implement everything from the start, and then we'll see. But they are tweaking, so to speak, because they are in the, I would say, beta stage. I've done mock-up combat or like test fights and stuff, but I haven't run them in full game unless in my campaign. And the other thing, I call them house rules because I don't intend to sell them. They are rules that I hope will work in my game. The difference is if you make a game system in order to sell it, you can't be as petty as I am with my rules, because then you need to facilitate lots of different play styles. In my house rules, they only need to work at my table with my players, so to speak. But I think there are still a lot of good ideas that others can cherry pick. I don't think anyone else might like all of them. I don't think so, but they can cherry pick
your
parts
stuff all the time.
Yeah,
I said your swarm. It changed my game with mass crazed swarming undead. I mean,
Yep.
and other
Yep.
stuff, which because
Yep.
now those guys do not want to get surrounded by those things. They know.
Exactly, and
Yeah.
that is fun. That makes
Yeah.
small. You want to introduce more
Yep.
maneuver and a little bit more tactical play to some degree. You don't want to over tactualize the game, but you want to introduce a little bit more positioning. Meaning, you out in the open field, a fifth level fighter or even a 10th level fighter might have a really hard time keeping up with 10 little kobolds running around. But if he's standing in a doorway and only one at a time can attack them, then he will be no problem, so to speak. And I want that to be part of how the rules function. So to speak, stuff like that.
Okay. Will, to you.
I'm going to answer Rex Filius's question.
Oh, good.
Cool.
He was talking about, has anyone here used the 1E raw grappling, overbearing, and pummeling rules?
Oh, you mean the 9 little things with the table from first edition?
Hell no, I don't use them.
If anyone made sense of them back in the day, they were terribly difficult.
I've always used, I kind of prefer early edition stat checks or ability checks. So essentially it's just this simple. You want to grapple a guy, basically you're going to roll to hit, and then basically after that, if you hit, you can grab them, and then it's going to go into skill checks. I mean, ability checks. You're going to roll a d20 on your strength. You want to get under, and its Price is Right. You want to roll under but higher than whatever they roll, and then whoever succeeds gets to continue the grapple. Those who fail, you're out of it. And if you've got somebody, you succeed, you can deal damage to them equal to 1 point minimum, or you get to do whatever your strength bonus is to them.
Yeah.
So, and that's pretty much it.
I've used I've stolen maneuver DC from Level Up Advanced 5e, and they took the idea from Pathfinder 1, I'm pretty sure. So it's like a specialized armor class against various forms of attacks like disarm, parry, and trip and stuff like that. And you normally what you get is that you get 8. So it starts with 4 plus your proficiency bonus plus your ability modifier, and you can choose whether strength or dexterity. The highest one, you will go with the highest one, and that is your base. Meaning, if you're untrained, and so if you're like the average wizard or villager who doesn't know anything, you will be fairly easy to trip or to make a crushing blow against the stuff. But then you can, if you say I want to beef that up, you can simply take proficiency in it, and you can get 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your ability modifier, and then you become way tougher to fool in combat with stuff like that, to grapple. But that is something that a fighter will probably do it, but a wizard will be like, nah, I don't want to invest in that. So that is one of these things that in order to be a really well-rounded warrior, you need to take that as well as armor proficiency and a whole bunch of other stuff. But you can be a warrior saying, nah, I'm not going to mess with that. I'm just going to have one big sword and go around chopping people up. And
I like stuff that then goes back and refers to the stats.
Yeah,
I'm big on that. I use stats in games for all kinds of stuff because it's a measure of how good your character is in a particular area.
Yeah.
So,
follow-up question.
I want to jump in on that.
Please
too, because I've recently got a book called Dungeon Grappling, and that is what I want to be using from now on. And it's a system that fits right into, you roll dice to hit, and then there's an effect number, but the effect is, instead of damage, it's control. So the more control points you get on someone, you grabbed them, you've grappled them, you've restrained them, and then you've incapacitated them. So now they can't move. And then the more control you get, you can take those control points and say, I'm going to use 10 of them, and I'm going to do 1d10 damage to them. And so you can start wrecking their joints. You can start choking them. If you get it, and there's a whole system. It's really very good. And it's, if anyone has ever grappled somebody you outweighed by 40 or 50 pounds and had them tap you out over and over again because they knew a teeny tiny bit of jiu-jitsu, it feels real good. The system feels like, and I want to, highly penalize people that don't take a grappling proficiency somewhere, because I have proficiencies. If you don't take some sort of grappling or street fighting, whatever, you're going to be highly at a disadvantage.
I've seen that work on Dungeon Musings uses that.
Mhm.
and that Greyhawk show that they had running for a long time.
Yeah.
That's where I saw it in use there, and it looked
Yeah.
like it worked really
Mhm.
well.
I mean,
Yep.
it makes ogres and giants way
Yep.
more dangerous
Mhm.
now. So now, why
Yep.
am I going to try to hit you with a club? I want to
Yep.
grab you,
Mhm.
Come here, give me love.
throw you on the
Yeah.
ground, and sit on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have it combat unarmed combat proficiency, meaning if you don't take that, you're kind of a feckless
Yeah.
person at doing stuff like that. But yeah, and
Follow-up
I'm also
question.
thinking about dividing it up into punching and grappling, but I haven't done that yet. But I'm thinking about it. Depends. Yeah. Sorry, Tim.
That's okay, Anna. Follow-up question to Will. Finish the sentence.
Uh-oh.
Streaming through this wrench into my gaming combat system.
Streaming through
So
this
what wrench?
wrench.
Yes.
What wrench did
Uh-huh.
streaming throw into my combat system?
Yeah.
Okay, I can say this.
Okay.
This is the one that, and this might be kind of a cop out, but so at my table, I am extremely fluid in how I DM as a general rule, right? So, and that, as you might think, can sometimes lead to I think it's called a disagreement between my ruling and the player's interpretation of it. When I was streaming, the last thing I wanted to have was an argument
so
online.
You just gave it.
So I'm like, okay, fine. And a lot of times it came behind because when I run games, I never, ever, 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 ever run raw. I don't run rules as written. Right. There's always going to be a tweak. Every game I've ever run, there is a list of house rules that accompany it because I go, I think that's dumb. I'm changing it to this. When I was playing and running streaming, the cast of characters that I had weren't chose necessarily, which was a mistake I learned. And so whenever I stream again, I know this, I picked people more for what I thought was an online presence, as opposed to what I should have been doing is building them for the most cohesive table I could get, which is not how I did it. So if you want to say I made any kind of mistake when it came to streaming, that was the biggest one. Trying to get somebody that I thought would be a better online personality, as opposed to somebody that would be part of a more cohesive,
more amenable to the
Exactly.
If you guys all saw Thursday night, I had two characters running with Godspeed on, and I pulled the assassins lying in wait rule, and they go, well, that broke your engagement thing. I said, no, it's a surprise attack. I'm gonna let you attack back if you're capable of. Almost got into an argument, but Alan and Bill both backed off on
very
that.
BattleTech like.
Yeah, but it has to work that way for a surprise attack on someone who's lying in wait, right? So, as an example. All right, so here's a good question from Troy. Let's roundtable this and we'll do Tim. Do you, Tim, start with this. Do you all use special set of rules for bar brawls or fights? For me, I just use the base. Let's go to talent. If it gets to lethal, it stays punching. You see, I have it on my sheets. I have up top. Let me just show it real quick. If you haven't seen it, if you haven't seen a sheet, I don't want to do Revelant. I have under the strength. I have the pummel damage right there. See, which is non-lethal. Number of attacks, pummel, hit modifier, and the stun percent right there for bar fighting and stuff. So there, right on the sheet.
That's awesome. That actually kind of goes in line with something I've always wanted to do, and I've never gotten around to doing it. And I learned this from the Top Secret SI rules, which Top Secret had, each hit location had a box, and you would have so many boxes. There's your health, right? And if you got to a fisticuff, you had bruise damage, which you would put one slash through the box. You keep fighting. If you fought long enough and you got enough bruise damage, those slashes started becoming X's, and those X's became wounds. And part in doing that is I would beef up the amount of damage that fisticuffs does, so that it wouldn't, because right now you do what, 1 point of damage plus whatever your strength bonus is.
You do D4.
Yes, it is,
I
D4.
do a D4. Yeah, and then I can boost it up in my rules up to D10. if you
Yeah.
really if you specialize.
See, and that's something
Yeah.
I always wanted to do that, because then it could give you like you could get like a
cool,
really knockdown, drag them out brawl, and you don't have to worry about it, one, taking forever, and two, having the rules actually just straight up kill the guys from fighting. You know, it's like you get to a point where it's like, because if you use that where, say, like you took subdue damage equal to whatever your current hit point total is, and then it's like, okay, well, you need to give me a saving throw to stay conscious, or give me a constitution check to stay conscious. Otherwise, I just beat you unconscious. I beat you silly. You fell over. You'll recuperate quicker.
Thanks, Dale.
You know, but
40 months.
I always wanted to do that. Never got around to it.
Yep.
So
I use pit fighting rules. Sorry.
No, go ahead now. Pit fighting.
Okay, I use pit fighting rules. I call them pit fighting rules. If you have like combat that occurs between two, and it's not like general combat, it's just these two, and they're both aware, and there's no surprise, no general combat. They're like going into this like a boxing fight or fight with weapon. I call them pit fighting rules. And there's a little bit of different things. First of all, you can intimidate or cheat someone. You can use intimidation in order to get to strike first, so to speak. So you can intimidate the other one to become spooked, so to speak, or you can cheat in order to so in order to get advantage or on who goes first, so to speak. So you can either cheat or intimidate into that one. Knockout, natural 20 or a crit, that gives you a chance to knock, and it's a DC 15 con check to just, otherwise you can be knocked out of the fight, so to speak, and you can lose it. And a couple of things like that. You can make a performance check too. If you have performance, you can kind of you can taunt the other one and stuff like that, work the crowds in order to do it. So there's a couple of stuff like that. So that introduce. So, but I want to introduce intimidation and sleight of hand into general combat too, but it's more pronounced if there is only you two, so to speak, that fights. And yeah, so that's basically, I have pit fighting rules for that. Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Tim, on that?
Well, I like the basic pummel damage that you have on the character sheets. I like that because basically every time you hit somebody with the fist, you basically have your bend bars, lift gates percentage of stunning them.
Right. Yep.
So that means you got a puncher's chance. You have that, no training, but you catch them and just like in reality.
Who wrote that finish bar fights faster?
I don't remember, but
Someone look that up in Dragon. Finish bar fights faster.
You remember the Dragon number?
No, it's early.
Yep.
Probably within.
I would use that, and then I would also allow improvised things, because if you have gauntlets, it's better. If you're punching people and hitting them with objects in the head, I would increase the chance of stunning them. And also, any bar fight in a game is it's for the story. It's not really for
true
combat prowess. So it's going to be story driven more than technical rules driven. Because I would have not been in any barroom brawls, but however, my dad, before he became a Christian, would go to bar fights, go to bars and pick fights with army dudes.
Yeah.
And
I'd never.
Marine,
and
he said it's never like it is in the movies. It's total chaos. Fists are flying everywhere. You never see who's swinging. It's terrible. So
page 80, Dragon 83, page 55.
All right, let me see if I can bring that up.
So he was Marine pre-Vietnam era, pre-Vietnam, so a long time ago.
All right, so a great question there. So Tim, in that roundabout thing, bring up something,
Roger Moore.
Yeah. No, really?
That's Roger
That
Moore.
makes sense.
All right, that's cool.
Bring up a rule or something?
Yeah,
and I love it because that's the picture of the orc with all the halflings fighting.
You kind of exactly. You kind of made you kind of showed one with the enhanced grappling rules, but go ahead. What else?
But I'm gonna shout out again to the multi-opponent rules that Anna introduced. I love them. I think it's great. But I have a parrying mechanic. Where if you're using a parrying weapon like a buckler instead of striking with it, or if you have a shield, you have a chance in a melee round. You can like move and do an attack, or you can do an attack and be ready to parry. So if somebody attacks, it's a successful attack. you can roll, and if you are successful, you have actually countered that, and it doesn't hit you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Cavaliers are awesome at. That's the best
Yep.
at, because they're good at stopping,
Yep.
you know, people from hurting them, because that's why you're wearing all that expensive armor.
Yeah, I have a parry mechanic too, and I use exertion. So someone who is a weapon mastery or shield mastery, you can use 5 exertion points, and you can do a parry as and basically take the attack. And the reason I use a lot of exertion is because otherwise it just prolongs the game. If you have a parry mechanic that can be used often, it just means more rolling to achieve the same thing. So I've figured out that I want actually the combat to be shorter, so to speak, the fewer rounds of combat, meaning don't worry about things can dole out a lot of damage, and skip parrying, except that really skilled fighter or someone, he should be able to parry like 1 or 2 attacks. If you've come up, if you're a little nobody and have an artifact and the best fighter in the kingdom, you should probably not be able to hit, so to speak, at least once. But if you gang up on him, then you should. So it's on that one-on-one fights, then that really powerful fighter should be able to take the first one and just knock the thing out, and then attack back. But that should cost even a high level fighter a lot of yeah.
I have the mechanic is, if you have multiple attacks, you can parry multiple hits, but you're giving up an attack for each parry.
That's a good general rule. So don't prolong the combat a lot, because I've seen other game system that all it becomes like, hit, you miss. That takes so long. So hits, you should hit more often generally, so to speak. So I want to beef it up just a little bit. I don't do that to hit more, but you do a little bit more damage on average.
As of yet, no one has used the parry.
Okay. There you go.
Because our bar fights, usually when the Allens are built, they get pissed off and they start going for lethal, and then it just gets.
I'm talking about parrying. I'm talking about parrying. No one's really.
But
our characters parry a lot. Our characters will, especially Tom's. Tom parries a lot.
Yeah, and a good combat rule is one that occurs 10-20% of the time. If it's used occasionally now and then it's a good rule. If you rely on it too much, then
offhand weapon, buckler.
Yeah.
Rob brought this up. Let's read this real quick. This is from that article. Carry Gygax. I do have one severe problem with my own game system. I got talked into doing the complicated and time-consuming series for grappling, pummeling, and overbearing in a weak moment. I've regretted them ever since. I tend to use a very simple system which we initially developed for such close quarters combat in about 1974. So there you go. Gary doesn't even like using his own system. And this is the article, and I will kudos Roger Moore next Sunday night when he's on for the DM's roundtable discussion as another great thing that he did, because this is really very simple, and that's what I use. Okay, very cool.
Yep.
Yeah, neat one. So, Tim, anything else you want to throw in there? I agree on the Anna, definitely with that. It's okay, man. You got a lot.
I like. You just want to talk about.
Well, as we're finishing up here, we're winding down here a little bit. So.
Initiative. I mean, that's one of the little things I do differently sometimes, where I have initiative. Right? Initiative based on dexterity, how much weight you're carrying, and bulkiness, and it doesn't really flex or change much unless your status changes. So that way, rolling dice is fun, right. But this basically has people operating as fast as they, as fast as they are.
The follow-up,
instead of just buy a dice.
The follow-up question is, when are we going to see those Hill Giants crushing people thing? Are we going to see that during Greyhawk, or are we going to see it earlier, later? When are we going to see that?
No, not Greyhawk.
Jay, that's a great idea.
No.
No, I was thinking more like another game where somebody's really powerful.
Well, Lisa can bite now.
That's
so
my calendar.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a. Someone I think Will gave me the idea. The underwater troll grabbing Dervilia and grappling her underwater.
She ain't wearing her armor ever again. Never again. My 13th level Cavalier wearing any armor.
I will tell you.
Yeah.
on my critical hit system, the type of armor you wear reduces the crit. So,
Right.
like, if you're in a great helm, your head's not getting cut off.
Yeah.
It's going to greatly reduce that. But I also, because I've worn a great helm, you're not getting your dexterity bonus when you have a great helm on because you can't see. What are you
Yeah.
dodging?
Right.
What do you know? And so
That's a good rule to
yeah,
to
you're
have.
you're not dodging. However, why would you wear it? I can't see. Well, I'll tell you why, because your head can't get cut off. That's a good
Mhm.
reason, you know. So
Yep.
Right?
Mhm.
I like it to be like, you know, you want to be light and fast. That's great. But if someone catches you,
Yeah.
you're light and you know you're going to take that hit harder. So so the more rigid your armor, the less it's going to reduce. You're in chainmail, you get hit with a sword, you might take a blunt crit instead of a
Which makes sense. That makes
yeah.
sense.
So
That's
I
a
mean,
great helmet.
those are some of the little slight mods I've added to that.
There's a great helm reduce and nip bonus a Pat 66S.
Yeah, ones that reduce your vision, helmets reduce your vision will reduce your
So you don't have to recalculate it every time. You have a set modifier based on dex and all the gear they're wearing, and that's
Right.
the modifier to the
Yeah.
die 10 every time.
right,
So,
and then you have it set, and it's pretty much
all right, good.
doesn't change unless
That's cool.
you're injured. As it could injure, you know, if your foot gets cut off or something, it might slow you down.
Do you
So
group
can
in
have-
it? Do you do group in it like a bunch of orcs with
I
that?
have done it because some people really enjoy it.
Right.
But a lot of times, if I have a bunch of things that are very similar, I'll just do them at the same initiative, so
Got
then
it.
their attacks come
Okay. Right.
to make it simpler that way.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
One little thing that I do in combat is that if you want to disbelieve illusions and other stuff, that you need to spend an action to do it.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's a general rule that makes illusions and stuff more fair.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because that way if you have to, in order to disbelieve something, you have to spend an action in doing, meaning it costs you in
Yeah.
combat to do it. The same thing for searching for something specially
Mhm.
or avoiding traps and stuff like that in
Take some
combat.
deliberate willpower
Yeah,
to go.
mhm.
That's not real.
Yeah, exactly.
Hope it
Yeah,
doesn't
so-
hit me.
Yeah, so I think that's a general rule to make illusions and if a lot of magic and other stuff much more useful and interesting in combat too. It should cost an action to.
I would say the same thing for drinking a potion.
Oh
there
yeah,
was a
exactly.
big
That's
thing
yeah. Mhm.
on the for a while there about, you know, it's like it should be in 5e. It's like should be a bonus action and whatnot.
Oh
and
yeah.
they're just doing it for ease. And I'm like,
Mhm.
there's no way you're not going to be walking
Yeah.
around with bottles just
Mhm.
flying off you and stuff.
Yeah.
They're in pouches and stuff
Mhm.
like that.
Yeah.
In particular,
Yeah.
because depending on what you want to protect them. That's good. That's
Yep.
valuable stuff in there.
Yeah. Changing weapons, bonus action.
That's
If you're
why-
proficient with them. If you're not proficient, it's a full action to do it.
That's why
That's-
I like.
yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. Mhm.
That's why I like the cantrips when they first came out. And Jay just made it where it's free. You can change your weapons. I would do a cantrip on a potion and be like,
Yeah.
it's right, present.
Yeah.
It's right here in my hand.
100%
Yeah.
cantrip was
Yeah.
coming.
You can drink
Or
it.
the-
Yeah. Pet 66 had a good comment. If you attack an illusion, then you can. That's another way of figuring out if it's real or not. So yes, that also uses up the action. So yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Good one.
So, I know this has been a great conversation. We got a lot of
Yeah.
stuff flowing out here, which is always
Mhm.
awesome.
Yeah.
So let's
along the
get
line with
to-
that potion thing is carrying large weapons.
Hmm.
No one throws their halberd on their back and operates.
Right?
That's true.
What do you do with that 10-foot pole? Oh, I got it strapped to my... No, it's
You
not
know,
strapped to nothing.
You got a magical quiver, it all fits in. Okay.
That's why they give everybody bags of holding.
They're like golf bags full of swords and stuff. So.
Right.
I make them hold them.
Mhm.
As it should be.
You carry a spear, well, that better be the weapon in hand
Yeah.
or on your horse.
Mm-hmm.
I'll let it be in a
or your pack bearers with the red shirts on it are going to
or your red shirt pack bearer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're
Yep.
going to die the first time a spell
That's
goes off.
that's why you need henchmen. Yeah. And lots of them. And chickens.
Chickens, yeah, chickens for ear seekers. I know all the tricks of the trade. The chickens don't make any noise until you bring them out, though, right? So they don't squirm around in the bag or anything. Yeah, you can't. Yeah. Oh gosh, animal abuse all the way. So yes, do not talk to me about how many arrows I have.
I know. I saw that.
I always keep track of arrows because people
Yeah.
like Bones run out. Like
Yeah.
because she was a bandit. She carries 20.
Yeah.
The only character class that's allowed to wear 2 quivers on the back are the archers. So that's
Yeah.
why certain things She always runs out of arrows very early, and I always make.
What other
tracks.
game have I run, Jay? That is how much ammo you have is very important.
What Aftermath?
Yeah.
Aftermath. You got. I have an M16 with 2 rounds in it.
Exactly.
2
I got an
rounds of 5.56.
expensive club.
I'm done. Oh, great.
Conserve.
Yeah, see, I do that. We have to play a live stream Aftermath game within the next 6 months because it's freaking hysterical. It is post-apocalyptic, just going. Anyone know the Aftermath game system?
Oh yeah, I know of it. I never played it.
God.
Exactly.
I owned it too.
Oh, it's hysterical.
I
never played it.
I actually have I ran one where
it's cool.
We were living through the apocalypse, but I also have a scenario where it's the zombie apocalypse and it's happening right now.
Yeah.
So you guys are like people that went to work, and now you're like,
That's the best part of that is the very beginning when it starts.
There's no die 6s in it. It's all die 20s. A 1's a crit and a 20's a fumble. It's backwards. Yeah. There's no die 6s in Aftermath. That's Shadowrun. None at all. It's all die 20s. It's pretty good. So it's cool. I mean, I like the Road Warrior scenarios we did and all that stuff. I know we're getting off on a tangent here, but they were fun, man, back in the day. My guy had a gyrocopter. He's flying around like the dude from Road Warrior.
Yeah.
Those were fun
literally
times.
From Road Warrior.
Yeah, they were fun times.
I remember he hopped onto a vehicle and was kneecapping the dude with a ball peen hammer.
Yeah. Oh, those are the days. Okay. We will get that. Just like we do BattleTech every couple months, we'll get an Aftermath game in. We'll have Tim run it. We'll get it, and we'll play it. So,
everyone will have to dress in accordance to the Aftermath.
Oh my God, yes. That will be so good.
I played last time.
I got
RPG Attacker Jet.
Reason to put on that hazmat suit I wanted to wear.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun. All right, so let's finish up the topic here. We'll start upper right hand corner. Will, what's your synopsis on this discussion?
That believe it or not, fighters I think need a lot of help, but there's a lot of help out there for fighters in at least in first and second edition. I gotta say is like when the later editions come out, there's a lot of extra stuff there, but yeah, I prefer one of my favorite classes still is just straight class fighter. I like straight class fighters quite a bit. So
keep up the good work, man, with the kits.
I got quite a few more to do. I think I've got at least another 12 that I have planned to do before I consider that done for now. And then eventually I will be I'll be compiling them, and then I'll put those out for because the good thing about these is there's no actual IP in them. So I can take these after I'm done. I can compile them and I can actually put them for sale in a physical book form that people can get.
Yeah, make it Osric.
Yep. So absolutely. I'll definitely do something like that.
Very, very cool.
Yeah, that's the good thing with rules is there's no lore or IP. You can I'm going to make mine Creative Commons and distribute them in lots of forms, PDFs and stuff like that for free. So my house rules, so that they will be more and more complete over time. And there will be a markdown version.
You're going to run into the same problem I do. I've been designing my advanced fifth edition.
Yeah.
I'm
exactly. I've been doing it for 2 years.
At least 5 years. I've been.
Yeah, I've been like I'm 3-4 years now, roughly. I've been working.
I'll find something else and go. That is cool as hell. I'll put that in and go. Well, that makes this kind of not work so well now anymore.
That's the hard bit, to keep the math within the parameters of the game, so to speak. That's the thing. Don't.
Yeah,
that's why I play with proficiency rather than add another bonus on top and stuff like that. So
so
it's tricky.
Yeah. Any other commentary on this? Really great discussion tonight, Anna. A lot of fun.
And I think we should have a similar discussion like this about magic and spellcasting.
Yeah, definitely. We'll set up the same group. We'll set up for the same group within the next couple weeks. Absolutely.
I'm very opinionated about that.
But this is good. This is great because we can all cherry pick. I have a whole list of cool stuff you guys have said today that I'm going to look into.
Oh, I took notes. I always end up taking a couple of notes.
And I've changed already things like that I came up with that thanks to the discussion. So this is good. So yeah.
Fantastic.
And my rules are in alpha now, so to speak, or they have not really they're being alpha tested now. So yeah.
Tim,
Or
what about
early beta.
your final words? on this?
Final words on
Yeah.
that. Always have your fighters understand why they fight and why they choose to draw a weapon or do whatever, and they'll be more fun.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, are they honorable profession at arms? Or are they just a violent person? That's all they've ever known, so that's what they do, and that flavors them and makes them more interesting. So
That goes right into the whole reason I'm doing the kits.
Yeah.
It's a great point.
Great minds, great minds.
So for my synopsis, number 1, never stop play testing, whatever you're doing. Your game is a constant play test. Whether your players know it or not, we're always trying stuff. That's why I throw some, if you ever noticed Curtis and other people, I throw some really strange classes or out of the ordinary stuff into those con games because I want to test something out, see how it works. Right? I'll do that occasionally. 2, fighters are not a poor man's cavalier, a poor man's paladin, a poor man's ranger. Oh, they suck. They couldn't have the stats to make them. No. The fighter class has its own, Seafulls, exactly. The fighter class has its own great nuances, and that's why I've enhanced it to the point where some of the best players in the campaign are fighters. Also, for humans, the fighter is in my campaign, the fighter is the best class to duel out of. And for a human, go up to 7th level fighter, 2 attacks around from that point on. You're on a good combat table. Restart your class. Restart it up. That's the perfect mix for dual classing in the old 1st edition rules. Right, Tim? We have some great fighter / other characters in the campaign. Now they can't wear the armor if they're a fighter magic user. They'll have to wear bracers or whatever. But it doesn't matter. It provides a really cool, powerful class later on. I think you're thinking Twilight 2000, Amy, because it's all die 20s in Aftermath. There's no die 6s.
Right.
So,
I have actually, Jay. I actually have thought about moving it to percentile
for Aftermath. Hey, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, but
die 20s work.
Just arbitrarily.
Yeah.
It actually favors the characters if you do, but involves more math, so maybe I don't want to.
Lastly, I'm doing a Casey shout out for myself. If you want a lot of my fighter rules, they're in here. Oh, thank you, Bob. They're in here. Horror in the Holes. There's the link down there. Carlos has a ton of great adventures. This is his top seller of all time, though. So, Horror in the Holes, great place to get a lot of my stuff that's out there, that's published. A lot of feats are in here, and all the rules on fighters are in there. So, I don't want to give that away. So, let's do some shout outs, and then we'll do the giveaways. Thank you, Brunkel. Will, what's going on?
Well, I got my lodging for GaryCon, so I'm
cool.
100% set.
So you're not staying there then, right?
No, that was sold out. I was not
quick enough.
That's a wonderful. You're coming to GaryCon. That's great.
I'll be there
awesome.
18th through the 25th is where I'm going to be there. So I'll be there.
You're going there for Founders and Legends too. You'll be around for Founders and
Legends. I saw Founders and Legends. The last day is on the 18th, right?
Yeah. So
So I'll be there for
we're going to talk about that shortly. Yep.
So I'm very happy about that. Still working on the druids, the pack leader of the wolf nomads was the next druid archetype for 5th edition. It went up today, and so I'm still working on those things. The maps for there's going to be a post really soon for the first part of the Lost City of the Sul coming up, because the maps are in production right now, at least the first batch of maps. So the hooks and the factions and the town of Last Stop, or I should say the little village of Last Stop on the Jewel River, all that will be coming up in the first coming to the Patreon soon. That one you got to be a Patreon to see any of that at any time. That'll never be open to the public, and that's the only place that you'll ever get it where it has IP intact. because once it goes for sale, all that IP will get stripped out of there, and it'll be Graymore IP. And that's pretty much it. I'm looking forward to going to GaryCon. I got to figure out what I'm going to run, because I'm going to run something when I'm there. And
we still have to have a meeting.
Yeah.
You and John Birchfield, I want to tell you the do's and don'ts, because I've been through it, and DMing is, you got to have a flow to it, and I'll explain. Yeah, when we talk about.
I was thinking, I was looking, I was like, what would be the simplest thing to run, but yet fun. Actually, I'm thinking I'm going to run the Golden Orb, is what I'm thinking, which is it's a tournament module that was never published. It was from Origins '84, and it's a Greyhawk. It's a Greyhawk adventure. Somebody gave it to me from the community too, and I can't remember for the life of me, because I wanted to give him a shout out. And I'm like, God dang it, I can't remember who gave it to me. So, but that's about it. So I don't really have much else going on besides that. Just always working, always putting new stuff up on the Patreon. So a lot of it's free, but not all of it.
And thank you all for those that signed up for Will's Patreon, and always those that signed up for Anna's Patreons too. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep. So and thank you for the participation tonight. Well, this was great as another
discussion. As always. Yeah.
Tim, what's going on in your world?
I'm going to sign off. I got a game that's starting in like 5 minutes. I want to say thank you to everybody, and I'll talk to you all soon.
See you soon.
I will.
Thank you.
Have a good night, guys.
Have a good one. Have fun.
Thanks.
Well, I'm not nearly being as productive as all of you guys.
You have a life and a job and all that.
Yeah. My son just tested for his belt, so taekwondo,
cool.
So he did good on that.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
And
awesome.
I've been splitting logs because I took down a giant oak tree in the yard. Well, I had someone take it down, and ended up hurting my backs today. That was my experience today.
What's the moral to the story?
Stretch more.
You're old.
I'm old. Mm-hmm. I'm old, but that's about it. That's all. That's the only thing.
I'm the only old guy here that doesn't have gray hair.
Oldest.
No, but doesn't have gray hair. Look at him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's fake.
Yeah.
Don't dye my hair. I'm telling you. Ask my wife. Yeah. So, question.
Yeah.
Someone was asking what game system Ed uses for his long-standing FR first edition.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Yeah.
It's first.
Probably with some cool house rules in it.
Yeah, with some. Yeah.
First, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So, what I have in limbo is I have the continuing of the underdogs. The continuing of the Dark Hand, I have not forgot, even though they are don't want to do it because they're prisoners now. And
we still want to do it sometime. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then the City State.
Yes, I'm waiting.
I'm crunching on that.
Okay, that's good because that's coming.
It's really I have map preparation. That's my problem. And that's the challenge.
I know. And there's only so many hours in a day and so many days in a week. I understand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
I understand.
It'll be it won't be just one complete set. It's going to be multiple sessions.
That's fine.
One that's going to take.
I can live with that too. That's good. Awesome, dude.
Yeah.
So what we got, Anna?
A lot of. First of all, I'm sorry I've been kind of underwater a little bit. I got a new graphics card to my new computer, so I have a 4090, and at first I thought it was just go in and change the drivers, but there was a lot of other things that set up, so I have to reinstall things, and that kind of took me off for a couple of days. But now I'm back in the computer and everything is up and running, and so it's basically GIS. I realized this is a beast and I need to do it. So I put in all the down to cities now, cities and bigger metropolises and all the cities. So, and I put in all the data about them. So I know their location and realm and the type and just doing all the icons. There are several hundred versions of all the icons, meaning ruined, capital, free city, and blah, blah, and so on. And then elven cities, dwarven cities, and all that. All these icons had to be converted into SVGs and stuff. So I'm a fair bit through now. So I'm soon I will in a day or so I will be down to towns and then down to villages and so on, and then all the roads, borders and stuff. So it's getting there. It's now when I'm over that first kind of enormous hump of georeferencing all the basic maps and stuff, that is done. So there will be a report coming out on how the GIS progresses, so to speak. So that is the big thing right now. I just want to, it's upgrading the whole map infrastructure to a new technology, so to speak. And that means that there is a QGIS, there's a GIS server, and I'm looking into that. So there will be an alpha version of the server running later this year, so to speak. And when you get the URL to that one, you can look at Greyhawk maps in the browser and zoom in and out. And there will be, you can pack all sorts of cool stuff with it. So that is something that is coming, and there will be down to street level in Critwall and others. So there's potentially you can do unimaginably cool stuff with it. It's just a matter of getting the data in there, so to speak. So once it's in there, and the data will be downloadables in the future, so you can make your own versions of it. That's the whole idea, so to speak. So if you want to start your own server with your campaign version, you should be able to. That's the whole idea with this. So it's a lot of work to set it up, but once it's up, you can do really cool stuff very, very easily with it. That's the whole idea. So it's hundreds of hours. I probably could spend 1,000 hours or maybe a little bit, maybe 2,000 hours setting it all up. But once it's done, then you can do tons of cool stuff without too much work at all. So it's a lot of base work, so to speak, but it's tedious but fun. So on Fridays, me and Linda, I'll sit and work, so you can see me on Fridays for a couple hours doing it. I plan to hopefully start streaming a little bit more of this so people can see what I'm doing. I'm also planning on restructuring my Patreon this fall, so look out for that. There will be simpler tiers, and because even I can't differentiate between the tiers, so I'm going to revamp that thing. So there's going to be some change to that. Merch is up, nobledwarf.com. Go to that one, and there's tons of merch you can purchase. And most of it is nobledwarf.com, and most of it is that way. That is a little tip thingy if you want to give me some money, if you want to buy t-shirts and mugs with heraldry and maps and stuff like that. You put a few bucks in the tip, and that's the money I will get, because the rest is just for printing cost and simply to follow the fan creation policy. That's the way me and the Noble Dwarf team have decided to do it. So I don't get, if you just pay for the printing, I don't earn anything, because it's not supposed to be profitable for me. So that's why we did it that way. So there's going to be, there's not going to be that much new things, because I did realize I need to get deep into getting the GIS set up. So it's a lot of work to do it, but it's fun work, and it's going to be great once it's up.
And I got an Altamira meeting on Friday.
Yes, exactly. Yes. That too. So that project is running
in back up.
Yep. And then, of course, there will be some other stuff, and there will be a little rules update, and there will be oh, thank you.
That's cool,
thank you, Patrick. That's awesome. Yep.
Very, very cool.
Yep. So there have been a few orders of stuff. Yep. So that is coming. So yeah.
All right. So real quick, here's 4 streams next week. Wednesday night, magical items at Greyhawk. It'll be a fun one. Come with your favorites. Okay. 3rd and final week of an old nemesis. The Dark Brotherhood is back, Tim. And they're in the Lort Mill Mountains. Yes. And they've seen Holly, but she hasn't partaken in any of the fighting. So that's going on. So we finished that Thursday night with all that great terrain.
Yep.
Then Saturday, Ed shows up again, and that group goes back to that site because the name of the adventure number, always count on the dead. That's an adventure. Yeah, I know. I just make a. Tim Sarastus has a new cousin. So when we raid into Darling tonight, their DM, their Durgalax, I talked to Darling and all, and he loves Ed. So I've invited him to play. And he has Peleus of House Pendrell, and he's a ranger, 6th level, half elf.
Can it be his nephew?
You want to make him his nephew? I'll make him his nephew. Sure.
Is age wise, right?
Yeah, he's only 61, so yeah. You want to make him a
Yeah.
nephew? That's fine.
Yeah,
Nephew. There you go.
my
All right.
more fortunate
Yep.
sibling.
And then, and then Sunday at DM's Roundtable,
Mhm.
veteran DM perspectives, because I was very kind in that wording there. Stephen Chenault, Dan Masucci, the Ink Mage, and Roger Moore, all with Anna and me, and we're going to ask them some questions. It's going to be a great chat. I can't wait for that chat. And that's our 14th ever DM's Roundtable discussion. That'll be next week. That'll finish out the week. Now, let me talk about Gary Con and Founders and Legends real quick. Thank you, Gary Julian. I was going to run Balchan's Beacon because I know I can do that in 3 sessions. Luke Gygax asked me to run something that's ancient Greyhawk or old school Greyhawk over the entire weekend of Founders and Legends before Gary Con. But Gary convinced me instead to run the Forgotten Temple of Tharisdan. So I am running the. You like that, Tim? That's a good one, right? So I'm running that.
Ouch.
Yes, I'm running the Forgotten Temple of Tharisdan. There it is. Yes, instead for those 3 days. All right, and there's 6 open signups for it. Yes, and that will be that Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 9 a.m. each one. And and that'll be
I'm gonna call you up, Jay, and hype you up so you're really mean to him.
Well, we'll see. It's going to be characters from the campaign. Some of the Hools characters, some of the others. I'll have a good listing of 6 to 8 characters to choose from in that. So it should be. It's going to be a fun time. Yeah, you're right, Gary. And it's written by Gary Gygax too. It made total sense to go that direction. I agree 100% with you on that. Definitely. And then lastly, here are my submissions for Gary Con. The open signups completely puppets and then some, just like at the fundraiser. Yes, all the miniatures now. I'm not going to bring the arena. I'm going to bring a picture of the arena, right? I can't.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's Thursday at 9. Retaliation Revenge. Open signups with the Slav Squad. We have 4 Slavs going to be there, and the 5th is going to make a special appearance, right, Josh? During the game. So we're going to have Mandy, Darling, Bones, and Myriad all there, right? And then Saturday, the Lust for Lost Knowledge, Anna, Eric Mengi, Bill Meinhardt, Ed Greenwood, some 2 drink minimum members, a couple open signups for that game too. So there you go. I'm DMing 6 times at Gary Con and Founders and Legends over a 9-day period. It doesn't even count the seminars yet, which I haven't even gotten to yet. So let's do the giveaways, and then we're going to raid the Darling, call it a night. What a fun one. Great discussion for everyone. Last call, exclamation point drawing. Only 6? Yeah, I'm only DMing 6 times, Josh. Suck it. Yeah. Come on, man. Only 6. How many times you DMing? I know you got more important things to do. Those are rookie numbers? That's not it. No, that's
self-inflicted right there, Jay.
Yeah. Yeah, just wait. He's gonna kick some ass. Yeah. Yeah, Rob, put them in. I was told by Powers That Be, Zarathon, the earlier you get them in, the more the chance you're going to get approved right off the bat. So, all right. Closing this out. Let's see who wins. Whoops, I reopened it. I'm not an animal. Give me a second here. I know. Club giveaways. Where is the pick winner button? There we go. Winner number 1. Enoch Pratt.
Oh, thank you. Oh, congratulations, brother. Sorry.
Winner number 2. Goblin of Gygax. Are you both guys on? Let me know.
Oh, that wasn't new. I never heard of Goblin of Gygax.
Yeah,
that's an awesome
I think he's won one at a time. She's won one at a time.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I think. Let me just make sure they're both in chat here. I know Enoch's on. I saw him.
Oh yes, Goblin is on too.
All right, they're both on. So let me know. Enoch, you get first. I do have some great things from Patrick. I have this In Search of Adventure, which is really awesome. I love this adventure. This is 3rd edition Trouble at Durbanford. The entire reprint on this. Took us a year to run this. And Treasures of Greyhawk. I got a Fiend Folio in reprint too, and a couple other things. You guys just get with me, and do I have a Dungeon Delve? What's a Dungeon Delve? I'm not sure what that is. Dungeon Delve.
Maybe it means like a dungeon. Maybe it means a dungeon crawl style of adventure.
Oh, you mean a Dungeon Delve adventure? Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them. All right, I'll give you this.
Oh, it says it's a module.
It's a special module.
Oh, is it? No, I don't have that. It's a module. I don't have that. Sorry, I do not. I got so many great things here. But just get with me and chat. We'll figure it out. Let's rate it,
Yep.
darling. We'll call it a night. You want the Tomoe-con? All right, I do have Tomoe-con here. I know I do. You want Hidden Shrine of Tomoe-con? There it is.
You have like enormous stack of stuff.
It's insane. Literally, I've
Yeah.
gotten 4 or 5 boxes with like 8 or 9 of them each.
Mhm.
So, yep, there you go. There it is. For you there, Enoch, and I'll get Goblin of Gygax coming up, and I'm gonna hit the wrong button. I always do. Tim, thanks for coming on, man. That was fun.
No, thank
Let's
you.
get some stuff scheduled,
Yeah.
and I have your game in for virtual.com. We should talk about semantics, make sure everything's correct on it, and then before the sign up start, and then Anna, I know you got to get yours in, and then a couple other people need to get them in too. Let's let me hit the right button here, and we'll see you all Wednesday night. Sound good? Everyone have a nice night.
Yep.
Where's the button on this one?
Bye, everyone.
See everyone.
Bye.
Let's raid the
Bye-bye.
darling here, and say hey Joe. The DM is like I said, it's playing in the game with Ed on Saturday. So. He gets it set up. They're always changing stuff, which is annoying when it comes to that stuff. Your dashboard. Turn this off. Raid channel. There we go. Got it. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. See you Wednesday. All right, cool. 75. Bet you a lot of people are dual watching her already. That's if they're looking there already. That's. Oh, she's not playing today.